Welcome back to another exciting edition of the Pointless Exercise Podcast. It's time to remember this crap with Mike Donahue. Mike, how are you?
Terrific, Andy. Don't have to slog through frustrating Cubs baseball.
So we are at the point of the Remember This Crap franchise where we are going position by position and talking about the all-time greatest and worst players at the positions. And we do want people to know we are not trying to capitalize on the death of Cub legend Ryne Sandberg. Second base was next in line.
It was.
So it's a coincidence.
We may have it may have spurred us to finally.
But we are sponsored by Andre Dawson's Funeral Home in I forget the name of it.
So
Andre,
wait, Hawk really is in the mortician business?
Him and his wife own a funeral home.
Because somebody made a joke, which I thought was very funny, about how he was dressed at Wrigley Field.
I had a picture of him,
and it looked like, and he looked like he was, out
and I believe
All Saints Cemetery.
I put the link to Andre's. Here it is: Paradise Memorial Funeral Home of Miami. Paradise Memorial Funeral Home was established in 2008 after the 30-year tenure of Barrett Fryer Funeral Home's closing. Mr. Andre Dawson, Baseball Hall of Famer, the Hawk, saw the need for a refreshing and more modern funeral home in the South Miami-Dade community of Richmond Heights, Florida, to continue to serve families in their time of need and bereavement. There you go. So he bought a funeral home as a hobby.
I have to pretty smart business savvy move. If you're going to go into that business, I would think Florida is a pretty good destination. People are still dying. Can you recognize what sort of a tenuous connection that might provide Hawk and former Cub pitcher extraordinaire Richie Hebner?
No. What did Richie Hebner do?
Well, Harry Carey used to tell us.
Oh, that's
Richie
right.
Hebner's
Wasn't he? Wait.
Off-season job?
He dug graves?
He dug graves.
Just like Digger Phelps?
Is that how Digger got his nickname? Jamie Moyer's father-in-law?
Yeah.
Oh.
That is how Digger got his name. The only manual labor that guy ever did. But that's fine. All right, so we are going to talk about second baseman, and then we will, at the end, we will do a very important ranking of the top five.
We don't want to.
I will.
We don't want to miss the
certificate.
ranking.
I will send award certificates to the winners, should any of them be alive. My guess is at least one of them should be alive. I would guess. We don't mess around. We go all the way back.
That's right. Well, you said at the beginning that we cover the best and the worst. I'm like, well, no, we cover all of them. I think all of them. Pretty much every position player will cross your lips before we're done tonight.
We go back to 1876. The first second baseman had an amazing first season. His name was Ross Barnes, and he was worth 5.7 WAR in 1876. I have no idea what that means. It's 1876.
A 5 WAR player.
The sport barely resembled baseball, but whatever it was, Ross Barnes was really good at it. He led it was the National League, and he led the National League in runs with 126, hits with 138, doubles with 21, triples with 14. He led the league in walks with 20.
20 walks led the league.
Well, wait till you hear how many games they played. He led in batting average, 429. He led in on-base average, 462. He led in slug, 590. And those Chicago White Stockings were 52 and 14, 66 games.
How many of those games did Albert Spalding start, I wonder? Is that something?
48 of them. Ross Barnes had 138 hits in 66 games. Not bad.
No, 100. Wait, say that again. Sorry.
138 hits in 66
over
games.
2 hits a game.
Yeah, whether you need it or not.
That's damn good.
And he was also the starting second baseman in 1877. He played in 22 games, never heard from again. Probably died in a threshing accident. Who knows?
Right.
His comps, we like to do the baseball reference comps. 3 guys that I don't have to tell you who these guys are. You know them. Cal McVeigh, Obie Moore, and Fresco Thompson. I was a big Fresco Thompson fan back in the day.
Probably some more mustachioed 19th century players, no doubt. Colleagues of Mr. Barnes.
In 78, the second baseman was a guy named Bill McClellan. He was just kind of there. His comps, Denny Doyle.
Oh, hey.
From the Doyle
Red
Brothers
Sox
baseball camp. And Ivy Olsen.
I don't remember. I do not remember the. Hold up 1 second. I remember
they
Denny
used
Doyle
to advertise in the Sporting News that you could go to their camp and learn how to play baseball.
So who was Denny? Denny Doyle was a major leaguer for the Boston Red Sox, right, in the 70s?
Yes.
Who the hell was his brother? Just like
I don't know, Brian.
Eddie Payton.
Brian Doyle Murray. Now I got to look this
The
up.
Doyle brothers. Okay. Savvy businessmen in their own right. It's just like Andre Dawson, setting up funeral homes in Florida.
This is Bernie Doyle baseball camps. I don't think that's it. Maybe they don't. Maybe it isn't a thing anymore. But it was. I remember like looking at it, going, maybe I can get Dad to send me to the Doyle baseball camp. Learn how to play like a real pro. And he would have been like, Denny Doyle sucked. Don't bother.
I'll just stay home and watch the baseball bunch on Saturdays.
It's the same thing, basically.
It's got the chicken.
Excuse me. 1879 to 1881. Third baseman was Joe Quest. He hit over those, 3 seasons? He hit 225, 243, 271. So the offense, little drop off from Ross Barnes to Joe Quest.
Ross Barnes, easily the leader in the clubhouse here in the early going.
He might be the greatest Cub of all time. I mean, good Lord, nobody else 2 hits a game. He might not be. This might not just be the best second baseman. He could very well be the best Cub. I'm going to call Crane after this and tell him we need Ross Barnes in the Utility Tunnel of Fame. This is quite the omission.
It's an oversight that needs to be corrected.
Joe Quest comps include Skeeter Webb, former twin Al Newman, and Al Weiss. I don't know. I thought it was Dick Weiss, the basketball reporter from the Daily News with the terrible toupee. That's Dick. No, Dick Hoops Weiss.
Al Weiss was a 69 Met, and right now I can feel my dad's grave spinning because, and I mentioned this when we did the 84 Cubs podcast, that there were these parallels that were haunting that generation when the Cubs had to slay the demon that was the Mets. And Wally Backman drove my dad crazy because of how he looked, and he was pesky, and he reminded my dad of Al Weiss. So there.
Was he Johnny Pesky?
No, he was. Oh. Yeah, Wally Backman was an annoying fuck as a player. I know he was an out of control alcoholic as a manager, but as a player, we didn't like him, and it harkened back for my dad to.
If you read the Jeff Pearlman book about the 86 Mets,
I think I did read that.
Pretty sure that Wally's drinking wasn't just a managerial thing.
On a par with the Coke and all the other, in his own right, with his teammates.
That book starts with a very graphic description of how they trashed the plane coming back from Houston when they won that
that's with the LCS
16 inning.
Yeah, Billy Hatcher was involved for Houston.
Yeah,
he was on that team.
He was. All right. After Joe Quest, 1882, Tom Burns, who we talked about in the shortstop. Remember this crap? Okay. He played there just the one season, 23 doubles in 84 games in 82.
Well, they're still only playing half a schedule at that point. Okay, I guess I didn't.
Well, Tom might not have. He might only played that.
He's only playing in 82. Okay, they weren't necessarily scheduling that many, they weren't that few. So.
He has some modern comps, including former Cub greats Tony Womack and Mark Grudzielanek.
They'll be coming up in about an hour or so, I reckon.
Former 04 Cubs, right? Or was Tony? Yeah, Tony was an 04 Cub.
Tony was 03, and the Grudzielanek was 04.
03. Oh, yeah, because he got hurt.
Tony.
Wendell Kim sent him to his death, and he ended up having to have time. He got Tommy John disease on a collision at home plate.
You made the comment that in one of the games that all Dusty had to do was have Tony Womack and Kenny Lofton stand on the dugout steps because each of them were responsible for ending the Cardinals season in each of the previous 2 seasons.
Each of them had a walk-off season-ending playoff.
A series walk-off.
Yeah, series walk-off.
They're both in the 03 Cubs, so.
Dusty should have listened to me more. So Tony Womack, Mark Grudzielanek, Jerry Lumpy, I just like to say Lumpy, and Buck Weaver, they're comps. Buck Weaver recently reinstated. Oh, congratulations, Buck.
As were all of the 8 men out, correct?
Yep.
Even Joe? Yeah, okay.
Then a guy who manned the position from 1883 to 1889 and again in 1891. I believe we talked about him on I think he might have played shortstop enough for us to talk about him in the last one. Fred Pfeffer. Impossible to say. Fred Pfeffer. There's way too many F's and P's.
Right.
He played 10 years total with the Cubs, hit 254, 309, 377. His comps are Frankie Crissetti, former Yankee, Phil Garner,
scrap iron,
Joe Tinker, Hall of Famer Joe Tinker, and borderline utility Hall of Famer Delino DeShields. Did Delino do enough in his
No, he sucked ass in 2001 after the trade. He and Michael Tucker. Yeah, sorry. But Tinker was a shortstop, so the comps don't necessarily always follow the position. Or, I guess we have players.
We got a bunch of catchers with the third base ones too. I noticed. I think mostly offense, and then I don't know what
so it doesn't quite weed it out.
I'll have to have a baseball reference guy to explain the algorithm.
I would still say that Ross Barnes is king of the hill still.
In 1890,
sorry,
Bob Glenalvin played 66 games.
Bob Glenalvin Hill,
and he has no comp, so I assumed that Glenallen Hill would be the closest comp to him. So Pfeffer had come back in 91, so 92 is Jim Canavan, Canavan. He came to the Cubs after playing for the Milwaukee's franchise in the American Association in 1891. What do you think Milwaukee's baseball team's nickname was?
The Brewers, I believe.
They were the Brewers.
What do I win? Yes.
And his comps are Andy Fox and former Cubs stars Doug Strange and Damian Jackson.
Wow. How about that? From a century away. Doug Strange was kind of like the de facto third baseman that we could ride out the September of the 92 season after we'd finally given up on Kevin Ory, I believe, or on Gary Scott. But yes, it's amazing.
Second baseman was a guy named Bill Lang, whose son, Jim Lang, hosted the dating game for years, right? No. Am I getting Pete Lecoq and Peter Marshall?
Yeah.
Is that leaking into
70s
pub
era
player
and
his relative is a game show host? Okay. So maybe not. I found this really interesting. Bill Lang, we've had these punchless second basemen ever since the great Ross Barnes. Bill Lang played 117 games in 1893. He had 8 homers, drove in 88 runs. He moved to the outfield in 1894, and in the next 3 seasons, he drove in 91, 98, and 93 runs.
That's still single-digit home run totals?
Oh, yeah.
That
seemed like a lot for that
makes me think of Tommy Herr, who had 9 homers and 101 RBIs one year.
His comps are the great Bug Holiday. You remember
Bug? Who could forget Bug?
Lou Fonseca.
Best known for his post-career. He was the guy that really got into film, and he's the guy responsible for ultimately all those old World Series highlights that we would see. After his playing days were over, going back to 1944, because you can find the Cubs. There's even a 45 Cubs Tigers where it's nothing like it would be with Kurt Gowdy and the Reds A's in 72, but you'd always see Lou Fonseca's LEW at the end. And I remember thinking he was a ball player, and I looked him up, and yeah, I don't know kind of a ball player he was, but he definitely had a second act in helping preserve World Series footage. So there you go.
He played 12 seasons in the big leagues, and he won the batting title playing first base in 1929 for, I don't know, doesn't say. I'm reading his IMDb page for this part. He was the director of a movie called Touching All Bases, and he worked on the Babe Ruth story and The Kid from Cleveland.
Okay. So he had a hobby. He was interested in film.
He also he had an uncredited role in the movie Slide Kelly Slide, which sounds like it may have been a porn. He's really into film. It makes me uncomfortable when you say that.
But yeah, those World Series highlight reel packages.
How many fingers did Lou Fonseca have? Did he just have 10, or did he have
more or less than Antonio Al Fonseca?
That's right. Yes. So Bug Holiday, Lou Fonseca, and of course Taffy Wright. Those are the 3 comps for Bill Lang.
Some of these names.
1894. The Cubs second baseman was Jiggs Parrott.
Okay.
I remember when he hosted the Masters of the Midday on the Score for all those years. That was Jiggs, right? Jiggs in North. Oh, that was
something about
Dan.
Something about that nickname, because there was a Jiggs, coincidentally, Donahue that was on the 1906 White Sox. So
there you go.
I don't know where that name came from. Jiggs.
The only ranking I could find for Jiggs in 1894 was he finished 8th in the National League in outs made with 404. It's a very Juan Pierre stat. Yes. His comps: Sport McAllister and Bruno Betzel. Another pair that is great.
If I didn't know any better, I'd think you're just making up these names, Andy.
Heath Stewart played the only 97 games of his career, all at second for those Cubs. He had 8 homers. 8 homers, driven 76 runs.
Once again.
Where did he go in 1896? He probably died of consumption. 1897 and 1898 is a guy named Jim Connor. His comps include Roy Schulk and he was that's a World War II era White Sox second baseman.
Yes, he was on the 1919 Sox.
Well, that was Ray Schalk.
Ray Schalk, not Roy.
So there's Roy and Ray, and I could not find that Roy and Ray were related, even though they both played for the White Sox like 30 years apart.
No evidence that they were.
Yeah, Ray Schalk was the catcher on the 1919 White Sox, played in 8 Men Out by Gordon Clapp.
Yeah.
Best known as being Medavoy from NYPD Blue.
That's right.
Now, Ray Schalk did not need to be reinstated because Ray was not.
He was like one of the honest Abes, right?
Yes,
like he had integrity, and he could not be bought.
1899, Barry McCormick played 6 years for the Cubs.
Role in The Quiet Man. I'm sorry, it's Barry Fitzgerald. Sorry.
Played six years for the Cubs. He had 244, 304, and 317. His comps include Nick Punto, former Cubs coach Sonny Jackson.
I remember Sonny Jackson.
And 1878 Cub second baseman Bill McClellan.
So he was there for 6 years. Was he the second baseman for 6 years, or just that one year that you
just 1899? He was on.
Cubs are really struggling to develop some stability here. It seems like for a while they're in a rut at second base.
1900 and 1901. Cupid Childs was the second baseman. His real name, you're going to love his real name, because I thought there's only one guy with this. His middle name is a name I thought only one person in the world had. His name was Clarence Lemuel Childs.
Oh, Lemuel Stinson. I love Lemuel.
Lem Stinson's great grandpa.
I used to tell people Lemuel Stinson, you know what his name is French for? The Mule. That's great. Another Lemuel.
Cupid spent the final 2 years of a 13-year career with the Cubs. His comps, Johnny Pesky, Luis Castillo, and Sox Hall of Famer Eddie Collins.
Okay, that's the infamous Luis Castillo, obviously, from 2003, I believe.
That's a foul pop-up.
He hit the ball, but hit the foul pop-up. Yep, say no more.
Somewhere Steve Bartman has the ball that he didn't end up with it, did he? 1902, second baseman was Bobby Lowe or Lau. I don't know. You have to ask the Tampa Bay Rays, and those two guys can tell you which way to say it, because they can't agree. His number one comp, Fred Pfeffer.
Oh, hey, we're circling back.
His other comps include Kid Gleason, manager.
Oh, the manager of the 1990s. Portrayed by who in the film?
The great John Mahoney.
Correct. Oak Park native or resident.
And future Cubs second baseman, Tony Taylor. Those are his two of his comps. All right, 1903 to 1910, and again 1912 to 1913, probably a guy you've heard of. His name is Johnny Evers. Not Evers. Evers.
Not Evers.
He played in 20 World Series games. He won. How many World Series did Johnny Evers win?
Well, they lost to the Sox in 6, the 6-12. So he must have played, was he in the 1910 World Series? So 6. I feel like those Cubs played like 23 games probably in the 4 World Series between 06 and 2010 or 1910.
Johnny played on 3 World Series winners.
07. Was he on the 14 Atlanta, the Braves?
Yes, not only was he on them, he was the National League most valuable player in 1914.
The Miracle Braves, who are like really shit ass in like May, and then got hot and run the table, and then beat Connie Max A's in the series.
So
their only championship in Boston.
In the World Series games he played in, he hit 316, 350, 368. But after the Cubs' shocking loss in 06, his World Series output was 375, 407, 429.
Okay.
He led the National League in putouts in 1904 with 381, assists with 518, and errors with 54.
Wow. I wonder if official scores were maybe a little.
In 1906, he led the National League in putouts with 344 and errors with 44. And in 1907, he led the National League in assists with 500, but he didn't lead the league in errors. He only made 32.
On errors. I'm wondering, do you know if like leading the league in assists and putouts means leading the league in the total number of assists and or putouts, or leading the league in your position for assists and putouts? Do you know what I'm saying?
I believe he led the league.
Like he had more putouts than Frank Chance?
Oh, wait, you're right. It would have to be
by position.
Shit.
Let all second baseman.
It's weird to me that Baseball Reference would do it by position, because they don't do it by position for anything else. Like they don't. He led all second baseman in doubles. But you're right.
But
an infielder should not be able to have more putouts than the first baseman.
A first baseman or an outfielder or probably a catcher.
Unless, who knows? Maybe they were just lousy with pop-ups back then.
Okay.
He was catching them all
Johnny was a fucking stud.
Yeah. Like, get out of the way.
unlike Joe Tinker, who I seem to recall definitely rode the coattails of the poem, to perhaps a arguably undeserved Hall of Fame induction. I think Evers for sure. Probably, I think he pushes Ross Barnes aside, no problem. He's at this point the best second baseman in Cub history. So the legend is legit, probably somewhat.
In his 12 seasons with the Cubs, he had 276, 354, 345. He struck out 211 times in 4,858 at bats. Like if guys do that in a season now, and he took him 4,800 at bats to strike out 211 times. He was the 1914 NL MVP. He hit 279 with 390 on base and 1 homer and 40 RBIs. He was traded to the Braves before the 1914 season for Bill Sweeney and Cash, not Norm Cash or Dave Cash, just Cash.
Dave.
He's in the Hall of Fame, and his comps are all Hall of Famers too. Well, at least one of them. Luis Castillo, Miller Huggins, Phil Rizzuto, Jose Offerman, and Phil Garner.
And the only Hall of Famer is Miller Huggins as a manager? Is that what
Oh, no, Phil's in as a player. He didn't deserve it, but he's in.
Oh, Rizzuto, yeah.
But Miller probably is, right? He won 1 million World Series with the Yankees. He should
as
be
a
in the
manager.
Hall of Fame.
Yeah, he won a few, but he died kind of unexpectedly.
1915, one of my all-time favorite Cubs. And we talked about him in the third base and the shortstop. Remember this, Krabs. He is a utility tunnel Hall of Famer. The great Ryne Zimmerman.
Oh, good old Ryne again.
He in 3 years before playing third base, he had won the batting title, hitting 372. He also led the National League in doubles with 41, homers with 14, RBIs with 104, and he finished 6th in MVP voting to fucking Larry Doyle of the New York Giants. He won.
Doyle.
At playing second base in 1915, Ryne hit 265, 300, 379 with 6 homers, 62 RBIs. His comps are all greats: Wilton Guerrero, Home Run Baker, Pinky Whitney, and Kevin Seitzer.
Home Run Baker. Well, he was actually a third baseman, though. So that, again, it's hard.
So was Ryne. Ryne played, but Ryne played mostly third. He only played 1 year at second.
1915.
1916, Otto Knabe.
Okay. Otto, like Dave Otto?
Yep, OTTO. And he has comps. Horace Clarke, former Yankee, right? Ted Sizemore.
Hey, he'll come up again.
Yes, he will. Harold Reynolds, former Cub first base coach. Sandy Alomar Sr., Jerry Remy, and the great Ivan DeJesus.
There's some memorable names. Did Otto also continue playing but under a different name because of anti-German prejudice in World War II after the 1916 season?
He was Gary Knabe after that. 1917, actually, this is where it gets controversial. Late in the 1916 season, Cubs made a trade with the Giants where they traded, I can't believe it, they traded Ryne Zimmerman to the Giants for Herb Hunter, Merwin Jacobson, and Larry Doyle, the man who had robbed Ryne of his MVP just 6 short years before. No, 5 years, 1912. Larry had won the batting title for the Giants 2 years before in 1915, hitting 320. I don't have Larry's comps. Larry apparently very good, but
Ryne would have played probably
insult to injury. Not only did Ryne lose an MVP, then he gets traded for Larry Doyle.
Well, except for the fact that Ryne probably would have gotten the opportunity to play in the subsequent year's World Series, I believe, because then the Giants played the White Sox in 17. I think the Cubs may have done him a favor and got a broken down Larry Doyle.
Some of Larry Doyle's comps: Chuck Knobloch, Steve Sachs, Eric Young.
Right. Did Eric
Mark
Young have the
Grudzielanek,
Yanks too? Are you joking?
And Paul
the
Molitor.
First two guys I thought you were joking. The first two guys you mentioned both had celebrated cases of the yips.
Yeah, maybe Larry did too.
Yeah, he must have. He had
we don't know that.
Overcoming a bout of alcoholism or something, maybe coming back from the war. Wow.
1918, second baseman is not Larry Doyle. It's Raleigh Zeider. His nickname was Bunions. Good old Bunyan Zeider. He was really good. 223, 288, 251. He retired after the season, or maybe during it. He played in the obviously, but he played in the 1918 World Series, and he was 0 for 0 with 2 walks. So 1,000 on base average for Raleigh.
Yeah, it's very more like Greenberg.
His comps are Sonny Jackson, the great Sibby Sisti, and former Cub radio announcer Dave Nelson.
You're going to think I'm crazy, but Sibby Sisti, if you got your IMDb page up still, it would have an IMDb page when we watched The Natural in 1985 on VHS, my dad was watching the credits, and Sibby Sisti is the manager of the Pittsburgh team, I believe, where Hobbs hits the homer. Yep. And my dad saw the name in the credits. I don't know how my dad knew that name. He was like, Sibby Sisti, he used to be a ball player.
Was a former Major League player from 1954. He played in the Boston-Milwaukee Braves organization. Oh, I guess he didn't play for the Cubs. He's just being compared. Sisti was from Buffalo, where the exteriors of the Natural were primarily filmed. They used that outside of their stadium, right? So I guess he was in town.
Memorial Stadium.
So he might as well sit him in the dugout.
Yeah, and might as well get a union card, and show up. He has
two credits in IMDb. He has The Natural, where he played the Pirates manager in 1984. He's also in the 1948 World Series video, playing himself at second base.
Produced by Lou Fonseca.
Lou Fonseca, yes. 1919, second baseman for the Cubs, Charlie Pick. He played in the 1918 World Series for the Cubs, and he hit .389 with no homers, no RBIs, and 2 runs scored. He had .242 as one season as the starting second baseman for the Cubs.
So these are both guys, by the way, just as a point of trivia, that in that 1918 World Series were more than likely made an out against Red Sox lefty Babe Ruth, who was in the midst of setting a World Series mark for consecutive shutout innings that would stand until Whitey Ford would break it from 40 years later. So there.
Charlie Pick's comps, the only one I recognized was Joaquin Arias. Do you remember Joaquin Arias?
Nope, I do not.
He won 2 World Series rings with the Giants, 2012 and 2014. As a backup infield.
Wow. Nope.
1920 to 1922, Cubs second baseman is, of course, I don't have to tell you who this guy is, Zeb Terry.
God, the names are just they're like detergent brands.
He hit, in this 3 seasons as Cubs second baseman, he hit .280, .341, .369 with 2 homers and 164 RBIs. He's actually kind of useful. His comps, Nicky Lopez.
Okay.
And Jerry Coleman.
Future Cub. Oh, the malaprop-prone broadcaster for the Padres, former Yankee. Yeah, Jerry Coleman.
One of his famous ones was, he said he was updating the fans on what was going on in the bullpen, and he said, Rich Folkers is throwing up in the bullpen. He also had his Ozzie Smith quote when Ozzie was with the Padres was, Ozzie Smith just made a play I've never seen anyone make, and I've seen him make that play more than anyone I've ever seen.
Yeah, I remember it was kind of like there was some competition for a while. And you even got a mention in the Sports Illustrated scorecard. Jerry Coleman said this, but Harry sometimes would also get cited for, saying silly things around the same time.
1923 to 1924, Cubs second baseman was a guy named George Grantham. He hit .281, .360, .414. It's like, oh, that's pretty productive. But he also had some interesting stuff. He led the National League in caught stealings. In 1923, 28. He did steal 43 bases. So he attempted 71 steals, and he was out 28 times. He led the National League in strikeouts. In both years, he was the Cub primary second baseman. He also led the National League in errors in 1923 and 1924. He also did it later in his career for the Pirates. He was traded to the Pirates on October 27th, 1924, with Vic Aldridge and Al Niehaus for Wilbur Cooper, Charlie Grimm, and Rabbit Martinsville.
Yep.
His comps are a wild ride. They include his number 1 comp for George Grantham is Jackie Robinson.
Wow. Wow.
And he's also on his list. He has Jeff Cirillo, Daniel Murphy, Jose Vidro, and Joe Randa.
Another Pirate. Wait a second. So he was the second baseman for the Cubs in what years?
23 and 24.
What are we up to? Okay, so he joined the Pirates in 25. They lost the series, or they won the series that year. Okay. Jackie Robinson was his first comp. Wow.
13 years, George Grantham hit 105 homers, 712 RBIs. He stole 132 bases and got caught 412 and got caught 95 times. Stop running, Georgie.
But not a bad ball play. I feel like the bar's pretty low for second baseman.
If you could,
borderline.
If he didn't care about strikeouts, which they obsessed over back then, he would have thought he was really productive. He played in 2 World Series for the Pirates when they won in 25 against the.
And then they lost in 27.
Senators.
Yes, they came back from a 3-1 series deficit, and then they got swept by the Murderers Row in 27.
So that was a 7-game series. He was terrible, and he hit 133. But in 27, when they got swept by the Yankees, he hit 364 and with a 455 slug.
Okay, so he earned his keep, even though they got skunked. Got to ride the coattails in 24.
So the Cubs got rid of George Grantham so that they could make room for 1925 and 1926. Sparky Adams. Sparky actually pretty good. He led the National League in at bats both seasons, and he also did it in 27 when he wasn't playing second base for the Cubs. But he slashed 298, 354, 372. He had 53 stolen bases, got caught 26 times because that's what they did. He was traded before the 27 season with Pete Scott to the Pirates for Kai Kyler.
Oh, that's a big trade for the Cubs. We've talked. Kai may have made our list if we did left field. I can't remember.
Yes, he did.
He definitely
one of the many Hall of Fame left fielders the Cubs have
had. Left fielders. Kai may have also played center, though. I think that was a fluid. Rick Stevenson in there somewhere. There, Hack Wilson, sort of moving from. Nobody's running that exceptional, but yeah, great player. So that's a trade that worked the Cubs' benefit.
Sparky's comps include Felix Milan, Ron Hunt. I wonder if he got hit a lot. Glenn Beckert, Woody English, Johnny Pesky, and Tommy Herr.
Okay.
1927, Clyde Beck hit 258, 2 homers, 44 RBIs. His comps, couple of greats. Former White Sox and current White Sox general manager Chris Getz. Wow. And he's makes it into every member of this crap somehow. Sammy Sosa's towel banker, Manny Alexander.
Manny? Yes. Let us not forget, too, that Manny was part of your favorite waiver deadline trade, too.
The best.
One of those guys. It is.
It may be the reason they don't do waiver trades anymore.
I mean, you could write a book on Manny. The towel guy, he's part of that trade. He's in every member of this crap.
The steroid thing he got busted for with the Red Sox.
Yeah. Oh, that's right.
He's just the dumbest person. There was a glorious time when the Cubs had Manny Alexander and Jose Macias on the same team. I mean, you were talking a couple of Mensa members right there. Manny and the Gremlin. That'd be a good sitcom.
Good times. Manny and the Gremlin. I like it.
28, Cubs second baseman. I don't think he's any relation to the carjacker, Reese. Freddie McGuire played second base. His only year with the Cubs, 279, 312, 350. He had a homer and 41 RBIs, but the most important thing he did was he was part of a trade along with Bruce Cunningham, Percy Jones, Lou Leggett, and Sox Siebold to the Braves for Rogers Hornsby.
Oh, enter
1929.
Rogers Hornsby.
The Cubs have 33-year-old Rogers Hornsby.
33 by 29. He was past his prime.
And in 1929, with the Cubs, he led the National League with 10.6 WAR. The 11th time in 13 seasons he had led the National League in wins above replacement. He didn't even know it.
11th time. 11th out of 13 years. It's pretty remarkable. But so he's the greatest National League ball player throughout for that decade.
Yes.
Plus.
In 29 with the Cubs, he had 156 hits. He slugged .679. He hit .380 with a .459 on-base average. He won the MVP, and the Cubs won the pennant.
First pennant in 11 years, which was a pretty big drought at that point for that once proud franchise.
He hit .238, .273, .381 in the World Series. Cubs lost to the A's.
Exactly.
He'd only played in one other World Series with the 26 with the Cardinals when they beat the Yankees, and he hit .250 in that one.
And he tagged out Babe Ruth, I believe, to a stolen base attempt to end that series with Rover Cole and Alexander on the mound.
The only problem with Rogers Hornsby on the Cubs was that after his great first season, in 1930, he only played 42 games. In 1932, he only played in 19 games.
What about 31?
He did play in 100 games in 1931, and he hit .331, .421. He led the league in on base, and it slugged .574. So in the 2 years when the Cubs were able to get him on the field, he was very, very good.
Well, and I believe they foisted the managership on him after Joe McCarthy was left for the Yankees after Miller Huggins died. Somewhere around there, Hornsby was their manager in 30. So he did not lead the Cubs to a World Series, but he was like in there. He was a manager in between World Series. So by 32.
Was he the manager at all in 32?
Maybe not.
Because I just wondered because I wonder if he got released, and I wonder if he got fired and released at the same time. Right. Let's see.
No union back then.
He did.
The manager in 32 is Charlie Grimm, maybe.
He did. He was the first of two managers in 1932. He got fired at the Cubs 53 and 46. Wow. He did not play again that year. He signed with the Cardinals for 33. He played 46 games, got released by the Cardinals, signed with the Browns, and played parts of the last 5 seasons with the Browns. He was never healthy enough to play more than 24 games in a season for the Browns.
But damn it, he was going to retire, because what was he going to do?
Right. Hornsby's comps include Al Simmons, Robinson Cano, George Brett, Roberto Alomar, Joe DiMaggio, and Napoleon Lajoie. His career stats are ludicrous.
Right. So he's the greatest player to have played at this point to have played second base for the Cubs, but he's not the Cubs' great. He's not even past.
No, because he really only played. He played one.
He showed up.
Played 1 and 2/3 seasons.
He had a couple of really good, incredible seasons. That first season, that's pretty eye popping and impressive for a 33-year-old. Back then.
It is funny. His career stat line for the Cubs: 350, 435, 604. It's the highest OPS he had for any team, even higher than his 13 years with the Cardinals when he hit 359.
So he just produced as an old man.
Yeah,
he just produced. Yeah.
He could still hit. He just couldn't I don't think.
And right, not the problem with him in the conversation is that there's not enough sample. He didn't do it for long enough, but that's incredible rate stats.
He averaged for a 23-year career. He averaged 9.1 WAR per season. He was worth 9 wins more than an average player.
I believe there's a stat with Hornsby when he was in his prime with St. Louis earlier in the 20s that there was a 5-year period of time where he averaged over a 400 batting average over a 5-year period of time. Now that sounds crazy. I feel like maybe I misunderstood that, but he did hit 424 1 year for St.
Yeah.
He hit over 400 twice. It must have been in those 5 years. And then one of those years was 424, which is insane.
Oops. I can do this here. And that's one of the nice things.
You can filter it.
So let's see. He hit in 21, he hit 397. And then he followed it up. He hit 401, 384, 424, 403.
3 times he batted over 400.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So it's thinking. I don't know why it takes so long sometimes.
But
it's going to be over. It's going to be over 400 because of
especially because of that 424 season. That's pretty amazing. I don't think Ty Cobb ever did that.
So the Cubs replaced Rogers with a pretty good player. 1932 to 1940. Billy Herman, who went 11 seasons with the Cubs, 309, 366, 417. He finished in the top 10 in MVP voting 6 times. He was an 8-time All-Star with the Cubs. He played in 3 World Series with the Cubs, 32, 35, and 38. He led the National League in putouts 7 times. He led the National League in assists 3 times. He led the National League in errors 4 times. He was voted in by the Veterans Committee of the Hall of Fame in 1975. He led the National League in doubles with 57 in 1935, triples with 18 in 1939, and caught stealings 18 in 1932 with 14 successful. So stop running, Billy. Just stop it.
Statistically and everything else, frankly, that puts him ahead of Evers. It sounds like a second baseman that we're going to discuss whose name rhymes Randberg, but he really sounds like a Rhino type of a player there. All around great defense, slugging. What a probably really obviously an underrated player. I mean, he had to get in because of the Veterans Committee. 75. I don't know, man. 3 pennants. That's some.
So just so you know,
leader in the clubhouse.
From 1921 to 1925, Rogers Hornsby hit 402 in what is that? 5 seasons? He had
5 full seasons.
1,078 hits in 5 years.
In 5 years. Wow.
Seems like a lot. Billy Herman was traded to the Dodgers in 1941 for Charlie Gilbert, Johnny Hudson, and $65,000.
I didn't realize he was that old. The Cubs actually got it. It's not like they dealt him in his prime, and good for him that I don't know if he was even with. He just continued to lose. Actually, Dodgers didn't win a series of 55. Billy Herman's probably played the most World Series games without ever winning a World Series. I want to guess, and it depends on how long he played for the Dodgers. They would have lost in 41, 47. He was probably done by 47 though.
He played in 18 World Series games. So
just
18. He didn't even play in as many World Series games as Johnny Evers.
Right. Well, because 2 of those, the Cubs got swept by the Yankees in 4. Yeah. And weren't much better against it. So, yeah, he only played in 1 World. He was past his prime when the Cubs dealt him to the Dodgers.
His Billy Herman's comps: Red Shane Dienst, Tony Fernandez, Stan Hack, Placido Polanco, Michael Young, and Joe Mauer. So there's a couple Hall of Famers in there.
How did Joe Mauer make that comp?
Just hitting.
Okay. Yeah, I always knew Herman was a great player from those days. I kind of feel he's better than I had sort of thought. Definitely the leader in the clubhouse now.
1941, 1942, second baseman was Lou Stringer. Okay. And then he missed the 43, 44, and 45 seasons in the military. His comps: Ken Hubbs, former great Washington National Wilmer Defoe, and Cub great Steve Dillard.
My favorites, one of my favorite crappy players from my earliest teams. Go on
1943, I guess I knew this, but I don't remember. It's Cubs second baseman, Eddie Stanky.
Oh, he played for the Cubs.
He hit 245, 363, 278. He slugged 278. No homers, 47 RBIs. He was traded to the Dodgers during his second season, June 6th, for Bob Chipman. He was a 3-time All-Star. He finished third in MVP voting in 1950.
Please tell me that Larry Bowa is one of his comps, even though I know it's a different position.
Jim Constantine, Phillies pitcher, won, and Stan Musial finished second. Eddie hit 300, 464, 12 with 144 walks that year. His career on base was 410. Wow. His comps, Mickey Morandini, Craig Counsell, and Woody English.
Teammates with Billy Herman.
This one I didn't know because I only remember him from Miami Vice and Nash Bridges. 1944, 1947, Don Johnson played second base for the Cubs. He was an all-star in 1944.
Played war-torn, too enfeebled to go off to Europe all-star? Cool.
Well, he wouldn't wear socks and he wouldn't shave and he drove a Ferrari or whatever. He played all 6 years for the Cubs, hit 273, 315, 337. In the 1945 World Series loss to the Tigers, he hit 172, 310.
Oh.
His comps, David Fletcher, Freddie McGuire, and Billy Moran.
Don't know my name. Hell with you, Don Johnson.
Hank Schenz played the most games at second for the Cubs. 261, 306, 326. He was traded to the Pirates in 1949 for Bob Ramazzotti. And his comps include Joe Strain.
Oh, coming up. I'll have some Joe Strain stories for you, folks. Just you wait till 1981.
We've talked about this guy before. He is he's famous for a couple of things. He has a society named after him, and he hit one home run.
Emil.
1949 Cubs second baseman Emil Verbin. He hit 289, 309, 327. Do you know who he hit his only career home run off of? It was a Cincinnati Reds. Yes, Steve Stone. He hit it off Johnny Vandermeer.
Wow.
That's a pretty good guy to hit your only home run against.
Yeah, the only pitcher to have thrown consecutive no-hitters.
September 6, 1948, the Cubs lost 3-1. Of course they did.
Wow.
Did you know that Emil Verbin had the winning hit in the 1944 World Series? He walked off the World Series, the Cardinals over the Browns.
Were the Cardinals? Wow, I did not.
This is crazy to me. Oh, I'm going to have you guess the number. Emil Verbin batted 2,911 times. How many times do you think he struck out? 2,911.
106.
Emil struck out 74 times. It's like one every 38 at bat.
By the way, can I just issue my how offended I am that there was this sort of Beltway, George Will, Hillary Clinton, all part of this like cheeky, ironic pre-internet Emil Verbin society centered around the obscurity of a nondescript Cub infielder when that same player fucking walked off a World Series victory for the Cardinals. Yeah. We've not of all of the litany of.
I could give you a list of we could just go back.
Like Zeb, there's a Zeb in there that they could have named a society after.
Yeah. What about what about the Ace Stewart Society? That's a cool name.
Yeah. Yeah.
What about Otto Nabe? Otto Nabe is as weird as Emil Verbin.
Right.
Raleigh Zeider.
Yeah.
Zeb Terry. Yeah, you said him.
They had to go with the Emil. Yeah.
In 3 years with the Cubs, he batted 628 times. He struck out 14 times. His comps include.
Get your heart out, Bill Buckner.
We know this because we had him in the shortstop one. His comps include Dwayne Kuiper. Of course, they should. The other famous guy with one home run. And former Cub and Cardinal Aaron Miles, who was Nick Madrigal before Nick Madrigal.
Right, in Motel 6 hostage.
Useless little shit.
Yep.
1950 second baseman Wayne Terwilliger.
Know the name.
He had 242, 311, 363, 10 homers, 32 RBIs. 10 homers, 32 RBIs. He's having a Carson Kelly season. 133 games. He was traded by the Cubs to the Dodgers on June 15th, 1951 with Andy Pafko, Johnny Schmitz, and Rube Walker for Bruce Edwards, Joe Hatton, Gene Hermansky, and Eddie Miskus.
Oh, Eddie Miskus.
Eddie's next. Comps for Wayne Terwilliger, Eric Sogard, and Nicky Lopez gets another.
Once again, Nicky. That's Nicky 2 times.
3 seasons, 1951 to 1953. Cubs second baseman Eddie Miskus. He ended up playing 6 years total for the Cubs. He had 243, 291, 334.
And it's worth noting that we have now entered the first true dark age in Chicago Cubs franchise history, the 50s.
Yeah.
Right? The ones that your dad, my dad suffered through after hearing tales of great players from the 20s and 30s. But yeah.
Eddie had played in 2 World Series for the Dodgers, 47-49, both losses to the Yankees. His comps, film enthusiast, Sibby Sisti, Kenny Hocking, Mike Gallego, Daniel Descalso, Mark Lemke, and once again, former Cub radio announcer Dave Nelson, Dave was so bad. Jesus, he was awful. He was
an analyst.
He was the radio version of Joe Carter. That's terrible.
Yeah.
1954 to 1956, Gene Baker. The Cubs' second black player. The Cubs actually signed Gene before Ernie, but Ernie played in a game before Gene did.
He was Ernie. They needed a roommate for Ernie, right? Isn't that how it
That's
works?
exactly right. Gene was an all-star in 1955 for the Cubs. He had 266, 322, 397 in 5 years with the Cubs. He was traded to the Pirates on May 1st, 1957 with D. Fondy for Dale Long and Jim Walls. He was a World Series winner with the 1960 Pirates.
All right. Good for him.
And Gene's comps include Joe Panik, Joey Wendell, and Keith Lockhart. The Cubs' second ever black player has comped 3 of the whitest second basemen who've ever played.
Well, who's the middle one? I was going to say Joey Wendell. Panik and
former Ray.
I don't remember Joey Wendell, but Joe Panik and Keith Lockhart are names that I've cue the Obi-Wan Kenobi gif. I have not. Those are names I have not heard in years.
1957, Bobby Morgan, 207, 294, 299 in 57. His comps, Dodgers manager Dave Roberts, former Yankee Pat Kelly, and former Cubs second baseman Wayne Terwilliger.
Are we sure it's not the white Dave Roberts that was a Cub at some point?
Oh, I didn't click on that. I just assumed because that's
we actually had an episode. We had one. I don't know what year, but we had one episode where we discussed Mike Tyson, Bill Russell, and Dave Roberts all in the same episode. Famous white guys.
Let's see. This is Bobby Morgan. Let's see which one it is.
There's a white Dave Roberts.
Dave Roberts.
Probably the
you're right.
The Dodgers.
He's very tan.
No.
He's very here.
It is once again.
I'm going to show the people at home just how tan this Dave Roberts is because it's
he's a future Cub. This Dave Roberts. Yeah, we literally and Mike Tyson's name is going to come up because he was a Cub second baseman. Yeah,
I mean look at it.
Yeah.
It's like the Seinfeld when Kramer fell asleep in the tanning bed. You said you were dating a white boy. Exactly. All I see here is a damn fool.
Yes, and Bill Russell, Dodgers shortstop, not the Celtics great, came up in the same episode that we talked about Dave Roberts. Mike Tyson's name will come up, so I'll just shut up about it now and save it.
1958 to 1959, Tony Taylor.
Yep.
He had 283, 31, 393 for the 59 Cubs. He was traded on May 13th, 1960 to the Phillies with Cal Neiman for Ed Bushy and Don Cardwell.
Who proceeded to throw a no-hitter in his first start after the trade.
And they still lost the trade because Tony Taylor, he got traded on May 13th, 1960. He made the All-Star team for the Phillies that year. But we know why. Because the 1960 Phillies won like 2 games. Was it right?
They had that rule forever?
Yes, they've always had that rule. But I'm pretty sure, I better check. They were awful right then, right?
I don't know. I mean,
54 was the year they had the big choke, right? So they were good.
Correct.
Then.
Gene Mauch. And the 72 Phillies, like that was the team where Steve Carlton won 27 games, but they only won like 60 or whatever. Like Carlton won almost half the. I don't know anything special about the 1960 Phillies.
They were bad, not like legendarily bad. They were 59 and 95. This is weird. Why did this happen? They're
probably young.
They had 3 managers. The first one, Eddie Sawyer, managed 1 game. He was 0-1. The second manager, Andy Cohen from Bravo. Watch What Happens Live or whatever. 1 game. And then for the rest of the season, Gene Mauch, 58-94.
Wow.
Gene unavailable for the first 2 games, so they had to wait.
Let's try you.
I can get there for game 3. All right, that'll work. Gene.
You manage the first game. You manage the next game, and then PK Wrigley's like, "Hey, there's an idea. Let's get a different manager."
Tony Taylor played 19 years in the big leagues for the Cubs, Phillies, Tigers, and the Phillies again. He made the Hall of Fame ballot in 1982, where he got none votes, but still he's on the ballot. Actually, do you know this could be an all Jim Deshaies? Do you know how many Hall of Fame votes Jim Deshaies got in his 1 year on the ballot?
No,
he got 1. Jason Stark voted for him because he thought Jim was funny, so he had an extra vote, so he threw him a vote. Let's see. Tony Taylor's comps. Here you go. Bill Russell, Steve Sachs, Gary Templeton.
9-time NBA champion.
Yes. Gary Templeton and Bert Campaneris. 1960-1961, the Cubs had a timeshare at second base. This worked out nice because in 1960, one guy played more games than the other. In 1961, the other guy did.
Okay.
And the other guy was an all-star in 1961. So in 1960, Jerry Kindle played second base for the Cubs. He shared it with Don Zimmer.
Our guy, Zim. That's right. Played for the Cubs.
Jerry Kindle hit 242, 288, 419. He had 9 homers and 310 at-bats.
What about Zim?
He managed the University of Arizona for 24 seasons and won 3 College World Series championships.
Wow.
His comps, Tim Bogar, Chuck Cottier, Wayne Terwilliger, Dave McKay, his bag of juice, Dave Roberts, and Pete Mackinnon.
Hey, I didn't know that Chuck Cottier was a player, and the first and last people on that list, Tim Bogar and Pete Mackinnon, both Chicago area players.
Don Zimmer was an all-star for the Cubs in 1961.
I didn't know that.
Well, his numbers sure didn't seem like it. 252, 291, 403 with 13 homers and 40 RBIs. Was this a Joe Girardi thing? Was he the only one who answered the phone? Is that why? But here you go. I looked it up. In the first half, with some important half, it's the Brian LaHare half, is what we like to call it.
Yes.
Don hit 282, 319, 425. Somebody on the 61 Cubs had to go, and Don seemed like a good pick. He hit 211, 253, 368 in the second half.
Yeah.
Don had been acquired from the Dodgers in April 1960 for Lee Handley, Ani Gorel, and Ron Peranowski. It took 3 guys to get Don.
Future time sort of pitching coach Ron Peranowski.
He departed the Cubs on October 10th, 1961. Where did he go and how did he get there? The clue is in the date, October 10th, 1961. Season's over.
Yep. Right. Did he go to Japan?
Nope. Basically. He might as well have been better off in Japan as playing for this bunch.
So Zimmer was not done playing after 61? After his all-star season of 61?
There was an expansion draft.
The Mets. He went to the Mets.
Zimmer was chosen by the Mets in the expansion draft.
I thought so. Okay, so, all right.
His comps include another Cub manager.
Cub.
And they had both Don and this guy had above 500 seasons managing the Cubs.
Jim Riggleman. Wait, Don Baylor?
You're close. Jim Riggleman is close.
Hey, I'm struggling here. I can only think of Riggleman did it in 90s. Jim Lefevre. Yeah, another Dodger second baseman.
So Don's comps, Gordon Beckham, Orlando Arcia, Jim Lefevre, and Billy Martin.
Billy Martin.
1962 to 1963, the Cubs second baseman was Ken Hubbs.
Hey, don't bury the lead, Andy. Rookie of the year in 62, mister.
1962 Rookie of the Year. He hit 260 with a 299 on base and a 346 slug.
Wow.
How many WAR do you think Ken Hubbs was worth in 1962?
I'd say, what would that be? About maybe a 1.8, or unless he was a fabulous dandy glove man.
It's hard to do, but he was a 0.0. He was a replacement level player, and he won Rookie of the Year. He led the National League with 129 strikeouts. Don Clendenin finished second to him in the Rookie of the Year, and mostly because
he had a nice career.
Don played only 80 games for the Pirates that year.
Okay. I'm glad you looked at who else was rookie. I'm wondering how many other players were rookies that year that ended up.
The only 2 guys got votes. It was crazy.
Yeah, we know. Okay.
He won the Gold Glove.
So, okay. Good glove man. That's fair. Although that should have been reflected in his WAR, I suppose, like his defense. I don't know if they can really retrofit a lot of the defensive men. I don't know how they.
Well, I would guess they
whatever.
did. He would have been under.
Yeah.
Also, though, I mean,
it's all relative.
Gold Glove voting can be a little
subjective.
Yeah,
100%. I don't use the Gold Glove itself as the.
The Cubs have a left fielder that has 3, and he's earned none of them.
Well, he's in a position that doesn't deserve.
In his second year, Ken Hubbs hit 235, 285, 322. And there was no third year because he died in a plane crash piloting his own plane February 13th, 1965 in Provo, Spain. Utah.
So a moment of silence for Ken Hubbs.
So I had joked to you when we were getting ready for this that I was going to talk about how Glenn Beckert clearly had monkeyed with the brake lines on. I thought Ken died in a car accident. You know what I got that confused with? This is horrible. The Cubs in the 60s, spring training was pretty dangerous.
The announcer, Jack Wilson?
Well, there's a third. So this one is just it happened.
I'm sorry, Jack Quinlan, by the way.
Jack Quinlan.
The announcer.
Not Burt Wilson, Jack Quinlan.
Burt Wilson. Oh God, I don't know. I think
it's Quinlan that died.
Okay. But wait, I'm sorry, I didn't mean.
There's another, which it's not. It didn't happen to the Cub. It happened to the Cub. Yeah, Jack Quinlan is the one who died in the 1965 in the car accident. Ron Santo's parents died in a car accident during spring training.
Oh my God! I think. Wow.
I mean, it was just bad news. You show up for spring training, and then after a week, it's like, all right, who died?
It's like a minefield.
Oh, it didn't happen until 1973. It happened his last year. Ron Santo's parents died in a car accident while driving from California to Arizona to visit him during spring training.
Yikes. That's horrible.
It was his mother and stepfather, but still.
That's right. Yeah.
He's like, oh, he doesn't count. Stepdad.
No, well, he was raised by his stepdad, I believe. That's
terrible. Think about, I mean, Jesus.
Yeah.
So in 60, well, they lost Jack Quinlan and Hubbs died in the same spring training. Because that was 1965.
Was it during spring training when Hubbs died? Should he have not have been in?
Well, it would have been just before February 13th.
Okay.
He was getting one last flight in.
Well, it's kind of what he has in common with John Denver. He kind of died in the Rocky Mountains flying his own airplane.
Jack Quinlan died a month later, March 19th.
Okay. Yeah.
So the second baseman in 1964?
It was not Glenn Beckert, though. That was what you pointed out to me before, right?
This is the guy who would go on to manage the Cubs.
And it's not Jim Lefevre?
It's not Jim Lefevre, and it's not Don Zimmer.
And it's not Jim Riggleman, Tom Trebelhorn. Is it Chuck? No, Chuck Cuddy wasn't a manager. Oh, probably earlier than that, right? Jim Marshall? Is it Whitey Lockman?
He was an interim twice for the Cubs.
Vukovich?
Nope.
No, that's way
the
too
other
old.
one.
Altabelli?
Close. Joey Amalfitano.
Oh, yeah, of course. The ultimate interim.
So Joey, for the 64 Cubs, he had 241, 333, 373 slug, 4 homers, 27 RBIs, and 100 games. Played the most games at second for them. He managed the Cubs. He was an interim in 1979.
Right. And not just a one-day interim, which is what John Vukovich was.
And then he was an interim again
stretch
in 1981, but then they kept him.
Right. Right.
And
yes, I pointed that out that he replaced Herman Franks when Herman was just done, like towards the end of the 79 season. They bring in Preston Gomez, who was so bad that he couldn't even make it to Labor Day in his first season. So they brought Joey back. But because the William Wrigley family was so checked out and there was a true low point in the franchise, it was almost Quaddy-esque. It was like, just go ahead and run it out there again in 81, even though you're really just an interim.
Didn't you think they were like, it's a strike, fuck it, just keep managing.
The strike was pending. They didn't know.
Right, but I mean, when they kept him then for the season, don't you think it's like, why would we bother to get a real manager now? Let's get through this.
They anticipated that there was going to be a strike, yeah, but he was their manager that whole season.
Because then 82 was
Lee Elia. That was the whole. Then that was it. Then they finally sold the Tribune, sold the team, and then actually, turned things around. But yeah, Joey Amalfitano.
So Joey was. Let's see, he was. It's not coming up here. Oh, his picture is not firing. Oh, I see. Yes, he was interim in 79 and again in 80, and then he stuck around for all of 81
because the Wrigley family was
even though it was only 52 and.
But they wouldn't have known that going into the season. No, they had already waved the white flag going into it. It was a true low point in the franchise.
So then the Cubs get some much needed stability finally at second base. 1965 to 1973, it's Glenn Beckert. 9 seasons with the Cubs. 283, 318, 345.
Yeah, the most stable that they would have been surprised is Billy Herman. So 3 decades go by and they're wandering the desert at the Keystone.
Glenn was a 4-time All-Star. He led the National League in runs scored in 1968. He won the Gold Glove in 1967, and he finished his career with more walks, 260, than strikeouts, 243. Okay. He was a Rule 5 pick from the Red Sox in 1962, and he was traded away in 1973 after the 73 season with Bobby Fenwick for Jerry Morales that traded the Padres.
San Diego, right? Yeah. I remember somebody telling me one of his legacies was, and this, I feel like this would be me when I was like fat and overweight and playing softball, like in my early 30s, that he would sweat so much and that he would, we have cameras now, so I can pantomime and you can see what I'm doing. And he would do this a lot. And that through the course of the game event, you would just see like a streak of dirt on his right sleeve because he would always like
wiping his sweat off.
Right, wiping his sweat off with his bicep, with his bicep covered sleeve or sleeve covered bicep. And that would kind of produce a sort of,
Glenn's comps include Felix Milan, Bobby Richardson, Ron Hunt, David Eckstein, trumpet great Tito Fuente, and Tony Womack.
Womack again. I feel like Felix Milan has come up 3 times. Yeah. He was best known for choking up extremely on the bat, I believe.
Glenn, 2 of his All-Star seasons, 70 and 72, he combined for 1.6 WAR. So I don't know what were we doing back then? His career, he was pretty bad for the 73 Cubs, and he only played 73 games over 2 seasons for the Padres. He was done. The Cubs did not have a very good plan for second base in 1974 after their longtime second baseman had been sent away. The guy who had played the most games there was Vic Harris. In 51 games, he hit 173. Davey Rosello played 49 games.
With his trademark afro.
Billy Gabarkowitz played 44.
That's a fork guy. That'd be one of that's like Frank Nova's wheelhouse.
Rob Sparing played 35. Ron Dunn played 21. Carmen Fanzone played 10, and Manny Alexander's dad Matt played 2.
I believe Carmen Fanzone, best known for playing a trumpet.
Yeah, better known than playing anything else, I think.
Right. Yeah, I mean, couldn't hold the candle to Dwight Smith's voice. His pipes. Yeah, brutal.
1975 to 1978.
Ooh, I know.
Manny Trio.
Eventually part of the problematic Baseball Digest cover of the Latin Connection. I don't know if that was problematic, but yes. But he didn't have Yvonne in 75. I don't know who his shortstop was. Manny Trio, good player.
He was an All-Star in 1977. In 75, he had finished tied for 3rd in Rookie of the Year voting. He tied with Larry Parrish and Raleigh Eastwick, and they finished behind the winner, John Montefusco, and the runner-up, Gary Carter.
Oh, okay.
Clearly, Manny, the best of that group. He was a 4-time Gold Glove winner, all with the Phillies. He was a 4-time All-Star, once with the Cubs, 3 times with the Phillies. He was traded to the Phillies before the 1979 season with Greg Gross and Dave Rader for Henry Mack, Derek Bethello, Barry Foote, Jerry Martin, and Ted Sizemore.
Well, I personally sort of love Jerry Martin and Barry Foote. They seemed to produce in 79. I do know that Jerry Martin, after Dave Kingman led the Cubs in homers with 48-79, that they dropped off to Jerry Martin the next year, I think 28. And he was a big cokehead, too.
Manny was involved in a slightly more famous trade.
The Indians Von Hayes trade?
On my birthday in 1982, he was traded with future Cub legend Jay Baller, Julio Franco, George Vukovic, and Jerry Willard to the Indians for Von Hayes. And looking at this, I believe that on that same day, let me look this up real quick. We must have done the winter meetings, right? December 9th, 1982.
Acquired Sandberg? Oh, December of 82, after 82 season.
No, I was wrong. It was 2 years early. I was way off. December 9th, 1980 was the Leon Durham, Ken Reitz for Bruce Sutter trade.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
December 9th, I know that because that's my birthday. I was like, I think maybe that's the same time.
Very cool. Yeah, Trio was a good play. He was right before my time. I have no recollection when I was a Cub. Part of the first ever Philadelphia Phillies World Series championship in 1980. I think he won some Gold Gloves, you said. I feel like when Sandberg, who we're getting to, obviously, broke some record or errorless streak that had been set by Trio as a member of the Phillies. Or something. He was a really good second baseman.
I didn't know this. In August of 1983, can you do this? He got traded by the Indians to the Expos for bowling great Don Carter.
The only bowler I know is Dick Weber.
Maybe not the same Don Carter. I know Don Carter for 2 reasons. Number one, there's a bowling alley in Rockford named after Don Carter, and number 2, Bob Uecker's joke was that he and Bowling Hall of Famer Don Carter both had a 200 career average.
That's good. I should also point out, man, we do remember Manny Trio as a Cub, but
I'm gonna get to it. Do you know who he got traded? Who they traded to reacquire him?
From what team?
From the Giants.
From the Giants. Who did the Cubs trade to the Giants to get?
He is
Mike Krug. No.
Okay, I'll give you a hint. We're gonna have to talk about one of the most famous games in Cubs history when we get towards the end of this. And this guy played the key role in that game.
We'll leave that as a teaser. We'll just let it hang. I don't have to hang. We can come back to it.
All right. Anyway, so
circle back. I don't have any good guesses. I can't think of who the Cubs dealt to the Giants.
So anyway, they got him in a trade in 1985.
When Manny came back, he was
the guy that
obviously they didn't need him a second, but
he was a utility player.
Third, pinch hitter, outfield maybe.
And then they brought him back, and then he played in '86. He came back. They re-signed him for '87.
Okay,
because Andre Dawson wanted to play with him. That's why he said, You guys still got Manny Trio? Yes. All right. It's a blank contract. Fill in whatever you want. I always want to play with Manny. His return to the Cubs, he was a pretty useful player in '86.
I thought so.
Coming off the bench, he had 296 with a 359 on base, and then in '87 he had 294 with a 367 on base. He had an 811 OPS in '87, and they stuck around for '88, and he wasn't so good. And he finished up with the Reds in '89.
Remember, the ball was juiced in '87. I think there's a little bit of inflation with offensive numbers, but still.
I've told this before, but my brother's memory of Manny was that he would, on ground balls to second base, especially if the pitcher had hit it to him, Manny would hold the ball and wait for the guy to finally start running, speed up, and then Manny would whip it over and throw you out. My brother enjoyed it.
And you said Dansby does something similar, but not so much to do it.
No, Dansby doesn't do that. Manny was like taunting the hitter. Dansby's skill is he can calibrate it so that he will always beat the runner by one step, which is ironic considering that his most famous play of this year is likely to be the time he beat out a ground ball but missed first base and was out and the Cubs lost. Manny Trio's comps, Jim Gantner.
82 Brewer.
Trumpet legend Tito Fuentes again, a guy we're going to talk about coming up, Jose Vizcaíno, Adam Kennedy, Gotti Fletcher, and Tommy Herr. All right, so after Manny Trio, 1979, another one where they played a whole shitload of guys at second base, but the guy who got the most starts, Ted Sizemore.
Yep. So this is now I'm starting to have like personal memories, and one of them was that on the NBC Game of the Week, Ted Sizemore had just been traded from the Cubs, and I just remember like they interviewed him in the dugout because they traded him to the American League, I think Boston,
the Red Sox. Yep.
He'd been a Cardinals second baseman, and so just when I was coming into my Cub consciousness, here's a guy because I think he was kind of they called up Steve Dillard, I think afterwards. And I don't even know who else would have replaced him, but we're now getting into the area where these obscure players I will have had firsthand recollections of playing for the Cubs.
Yeah, so other guys who played second base, Steve Dillard, Mick Kelleher, Steve Macko.
Moment of silence. Steve Macko.
Kurt Siebert.
Don't know. Don't remember.
What a bunch.
Yeah.
Let's see
Macko.
Here. Ted Sizemore.
Yeah, and Mick Kelleher is more of a shortstop, sort of, and just powerless. Yeah, just a bunch of flat set.
Ted Sizemore played in 2 World Series for the Phillies. No, sorry, not 2 World Series. 2 NLCSs for the Phillies.
And those
77 and 78. And in 78, he hit 385, 429, 538 in the playoffs. It's not his fault that the Dodgers won 3-1. Ted Sizemore.
How did he come to the Cubs then? The Cubs trade for him after his hot. That's a 79 Cubs team.
Yeah, he's in the Manny Trio trade.
Oh, duh. Yeah, you said that already. My bad.
Let's see. He got traded away then. So that was in February of 79. He got traded. It was a waiver trade, my favorite kind. August 17th, 1979. He got traded to the Red Sox for Mike O'Berry.
Catcher.
And then in 1980, he got released by the Red Sox, and that was it. Ted's comps include Jerry Lumpy and Horace Clark, Harold Reynolds, and Rey Sanchez. Well, there you go. And also a guy named Burgess Whitehead. Why not? Okay, so after our great year of Ted Sizemore, then we got 2 years where the primary second baseman, well, especially in 80, but in 81, I guess he did play the most games. Mike Tyson.
Famously white Mike Tyson.
Mike Tyson, he would game plan for pitchers, and he would tell people, everybody's got a plan until you get punched in the face.
Punched in the face. You probably don't remember Mike Tyson, I bet.
I always remember that I had his baseball card, and so as I would, as the other Mike Tyson became famous, I'm like, there used to have a white second baseman.
The other Mike Tyson. So we knew about this one first. The other Mike Tyson, who emerged as like a 19-year-old, but that was still like a 1983-4, I feel like. So the more famous Mike Tyson was a few years away. This one, though, even like 8 and 9-year-old me, so unimpressed, even though I was easily impressed by the likes of like Tim Blackwell's mustache and Barry Foote's girth. There's something about Mike Tyson. I'm like, how is that guy a second baseman? Like, he looks like Barry Foote. Like, how can he move? And my only other Mike Tyson recollection, other than him gobbling up a lot of playing time back then,
gobbling up a lot of Smoky Links.
That is right. Is that he actually won a game, scored the winning run, the walk-off run. I know we didn't call it that. Yeah, look at that.
Why does this picture look like he has a mustache? That's just his face.
It looks like a milk mustache.
And then look at this guy. Get a comb. Come on, man. What's going on with those? What, the Cardinal way? Nobody bothers to comb their hair? Come on.
He scored the winning walk-off run, sliding into home head first, and his face just basically slammed into the catcher's shin guard, and it was very much celebrated by probably Jack Brickhouse. So it's 80-81. You could have Arnie show in slow motion that Tyson kind of slid and got his hand on the plate while wrecking his face. But yeah, he was a fat, immobile second baseman that was already washed up and had been a long time like a mediocre second baseman for a bunch of mediocre Cardinals teams in the 70s.
It says here
not a really good place to be.
His nickname was Rocky. So he had a boxing connection even before. Who knew?
And then, not to bury the lead, he may have been the primary second baseman in 81, but he was not the opening day second baseman in 81. I'll tell you.
He played by far the most games in 80, but in 81, he only played one more game than Pat Tabler. Steve Dillard only played 4 games fewer. Joe Strain played 20 games. Scotty Fletcher played 13. Even the great Ty Waller got 3 games in.
Who would be the opening day center fielder in 82. And Scott Fletcher, I mentioned this before, debuted, and then it was very exciting because he got a hit in his first Major League plate appearance. But the opening day second baseman was a fella that had been traded for a guy that I'd become attached to, don't know why, because I'm a dumb kid, in 1980. Zeus Figueroa, who had 1 career homer. If you ever look him up, he was an outfielder. And I remember thinking, like, all right, we had Ivan DeJesus. I was just getting into CCD. I'm like, all right, it's not Jesus, it's not DeJesus, it's DeJesus. It's Hispanic. And then all of a sudden they had a guy whose first name was actually Jesus. And, there's an 81 Topps card where he's got his batting helmet on. Jesus Figueroa has 1 career homer. He's a left-handed batter. I can remember, I think he wore 17, but I could be wrong. And there's no way of verifying this unless you could dig up a Tribune article, but his only career homer went into the basket. I just know that for a fact. You'll have to take my word for it.
Oh, yeah. Good old number 17.
And so, yeah, there you go. And I was very broken up when the Cubs traded this. That's his Topps. That you had his Topps one on the right. When you doubled down, that's his Topps, 81 Topps photo. And I was kind of heartbroken that they traded him. And they traded him for Joe Strain, who was like the pastiest player that I recall the Cubs ever having from the Giants. I looked it up once. Joe Strain actually got 2 hits in his opening day debut. But otherwise was absolute ass, right? Do I have that right? Is Joe Strain? There he is. Yeah, among others.
Jesus Figueroa was traded with a player named later and Jerry Martin for Phil Nastu and Joe Strain. Player named later was Mike Turgeon. Not Turgeon.
I'm buried to lead myself for the fact that they got rid of Jerry Martin and his coke habit. But yeah, so Strain, I just remember like, God, this guy sucks. And I was only 9. Like, I wasn't that critical. So yeah, you mentioned Steve Dillard, Mike Tyson, Joe Strain. Who else was? Pat Tabler was. The Cubs acquired Pat Tabler from the Yankees, and we were stoked because it was like a rumored for a while. He was such a hot prospect. Not part of the Rick Russell trade. It was a separate trade, but that was the guy that was going to be the opening day second. No. He was going to make the team. Well, no, he was going to make the team in 82. Junior Kennedy, who they had acquired from the Reds, was going to be the opening day second baseman in 82. But on the eve of the opener, Ellis Green, who, of course, would be known for a much more famous pre-opening day trade in 84, pulled the trigger and brought Bump Wills to the Cubs. And Pat Tabler got sent down and apparently had a fit. And then he'd later get traded to the White Sox and then become this Cleveland Indian that had this uncanny ability to produce huge numbers, the bases loaded.
Yeah, because Tabler in 81 only played second base for the Cubs. In 82, he only played third base, but only 25 games. And then in 83, when he had been traded to the Indians.
Well, Sox. And then I think the Sox flipped him.
Yeah, he must have never played for the Sox.
He was part of that Dick Tidrow, Mike Warren Brewster, Steve Trout trade. So they must have flipped him to the Indians. And he had a nice career. He was a good player.
Especially with the bases loaded.
Yep.
It was the greatest with the bases loaded.
But I think you mentioned Bump Wills was the first second baseman that you really.
He's the one. He's my first Cubs second baseman, Bump Wills.
Yeah. So, do you remember his first game?
No.
Okay.
So they traded for me right at the end of spring training, March 26th. He got traded by the Rangers for a player named later Paul Mirabella and cash. Paul Seymour was the player.
Paul Mirabella is a left-handed mustachioed pitcher. So the thing about Bump Wills is that I mentioned this before. Pre-cable. Yes, we had an American League team in town. They played on Channel 44 before it became on TV, but we did not watch the White Sox. The American League players were two-dimensional players that appeared on Topps baseball cards. I knew who they were. And Bump Wills had a little bit of an aura because his father was Maury Wills, who around that time was the manager of the Mariners, but better known as kind of the guy that reintroduced the stolen base in the early 60s for the Dodgers. And Bump Wills himself was a very hyped prospect, partly because of his lineage. But he was to me, he was a Topps baseball card because he was in the American League. He was not real. So it's kind of exciting when, Dallas Green, this is we just talked about the nadir the year before, 80, 81. The Cubs were so checked out. The Wrigley family so checked out that they just let Joey Alfantano stay in charge. They sell the team. And the tribute company actually comes in and they hire Dallas Green, and you could sense it. It was very exciting, and you get excited for opening day anyway. But I remember I stayed home from school, which I would often do on opening day. They're playing the Reds, which is really exciting because back then that was truly the first opening day. No teams had played yet. The Cubs were playing the Reds for the first time ever. They're wearing these blue tops. They got rid of the baby blues. So yeah, everything feels new and exciting, right? We got real live free agents on this team. Bill Campbell and Fergie Jenkins are there. There was definite enthusiasm. Dallas Green was really sort of fumigating the stench that was the Cubs culture, building a new tradition. They were going to get lights at some point. People were very on edge that didn't like all that shit. Very exciting if you were interested in the results on the field. And yeah, all of a sudden, right before the season, they get Bump Wills. Oh my God, we got that guy. Second base. Didn't know he couldn't play a lick at second base. Watching opening day, and the only other thing I'm going to mention here is that as a kid, and you may have done this too, you had tape recorders. You'd record songs on the radio, right? Or oh my God, here's Billy Joe's Piano Man. I'm going to record it, and then I'll have it. Another thing that I would do around them was I would record my own play-by-play, right? Because I'm a dumb kid. And I remember, I'm so stoked for opening day. I stay home from school. Cubs are playing the Reds. I'm like, I'm going to record this. Fuck you, Harry. Even though it's Harry's first game. I'm like, hey, don't need to listen to Harry. I'm going to record my own game. And Bump Wills comes to the plate. Mario Soto's pitching for the Reds. Second pitch of the season, son of a bitch hits a home run. It's crazy. You're a 10-year-old kid. You're already optimistic. But I remember hitting record, first pitch by Soto, ball one, and then here's the pitch. There's a fly ball. I'm like, holy shit, it's a home run. I'm like, what am I doing? I got to listen to Harry Carey. I hit stop. I'm like, this is, But that was Bump Wills' introduction. He comes in with a bang. He hits a homer right away. So I like Bump Wills, but what I didn't understand is he couldn't really move. He wasn't really much of a fielder. And he was, and then at the same time, of course, here's the segue, is that one of the, Dallas Green really brought in some veterans that had won before, a lot of Philadelphia Phillies. We got Keith Moreland for Mike Krukow. And then we, of course, got Larry Bow and Ryne Sandberg. They didn't know where they're going to play Sandberg. He might have started in center field, but Ty Waller did. And they put Sandberg at third because there are all these moving parts. Pat Tabler was a legit prospect that ended up having to go to Iowa. So you got Sandberg at third, Wills at second. But that was Bump Wills' only season at the Keystone. But I kind of appreciated having Bump Wills.
Yeah, in his first game, he almost does the Ian Happ. He didn't home run the first pitch of the season. He waited till the second.
Correct. It was second pitch, I believe.
Bump hit 2 hits, 4 at bats, scored a run, obviously, on his home run, struck out twice, and committed an error. So you got the whole Bump Wills experience. And the Cubs won 3-2 in 8. Was it their rain?
Which also means that in Harry Carey's first game, you did not hear him, because he used to always say, Sox win, Sox win. And I made a point to note that he did not get to say Cubs win because they came back from one of Lou Fonseca's World Series videos, and Harry just said,
"It's over.
The game has been called. It's over, and the Cubs win." So he didn't get to say it for a few more games.
So it's funny. Bump was 29. Played 128 games for the Cubs, and that was it. He never played in the big leagues again.
Went to Japan.
Cashed in. Yeah. Oh yeah, there it is. Minor and Japanese league stats. He went to play for
Japan now.
He went to play for Hank U. Thank you very much.
Hank U.
The Hank U Braves. He helped them to a second place finish in the JPL and first year, and his second year they finished first with the great Bump Wills. How'd he do? That's good. 232, 343, 338 in his second year. I don't know how did he do in the first. Yeah, 272, 350, 439. He was everything they expected. Him and Greg Wells were you could only have two Americans.
Was that the two Americans? Right, you can only have two Yanks.
Greg Wells playing first and Bump playing second for the Hank U Braves. So Bump only gets to play 1 year, and then the Cubs, in a real head scratcher, they hand second base over to some guy who only plays it for the next 10 years and then takes a little bit off and then plays for 2 more. Ryne D. Sandberg. DEE. Yeah, he was all right. What, 9-time Gold Glover?
Won it his first year in '83. He didn't lose it again until Jim Leland successfully lobbied for Jose Glynn in '92. Or maybe he didn't win in '84, possibly, or '85. Tom Hurt just interrupted his All-Star selection. He won it every year from '83 to '91, yes. I think.
83 to 91.
Okay. And then he was also an All-Star every year from '84 to '92, except for '85.
9 Gold Gloves, 7 Silver Sluggers, 10-time All-Star, 1984 MVP. Led the National League in runs scored 3 times, 84, 89, and 90.
Home run champ.
What else did he lead the league in? Led the league in WAR in 1984. Homers in just once when he hit 40. Yeah, 1990. Led the league in assists 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. Range factor twice. Fielding percentage. He set the record for errorless games at second base, which he broke Joe Morgan's record, which really pissed Joe off, which was fun. Came back from a brief retirement to break Joe's record for most home runs by second baseman, which also pissed Joe off. And here's a stat that I found for the article I wrote after Ryan died that I didn't realize. I remembered this part. So he was 1 homer and 1 triple away from having in one season at least 20 doubles, 20 triples, 20 homers, and 20 stolen bases. And at the time, it had only been done by Willie Mays and the first guy to ever do it, Wildfire Schulte.
Oh, we're bringing it full circle.
One of my all-time favorite Cubs.
So I heard you mention that before and again tonight that he took the consecutive errorless streak. We knew about the home runs. Is that you know that to be true? Because I thought he had taken some record from Manny Trio, which is just great. That if it's true that he's basically just fuck youing Joe Morgan.
The record before Ryan had it was Joe Morgan with 91, and Ryan destroyed it. So
and that's like one of probably his least like that. Almost shows you the least about his own defensive process because errors doesn't really tell you. You could, like you mentioned, Ron Say, I think had 2 errors. You're like, if you don't get to balls, here's what I'll say about like defensively, Sandberg. And I put my go-to stat is that he had 6 seasons in which he had 500 assists, and only one other second baseman in history ever did that. That would be Charlie Gehringer of the 1930s Tigers. Joe Morgan never had 1 season of 500 assists. And I feel like over time it's become obvious. Like, I feel like 20 years ago, all right, let me just do a quick diversion. You'll know what I'm talking about here. But when I came across, when you and I got acclimated or acquainted, 2003, when the Cubs went to the playoffs, kind of around the same time that like the blogosphere was kind of first sort of really taking off. You could find content in January at it was kind of a, really good time around. I remember like Oleg had to fix my computer and he's like reading this article on the Cub Reporter. Remember Ruse? I think it was his nickname, about like Kyle Farnsworth going to arbitration. I'm like, wow, content in January. Like, what is this? And then right around the same time, a guy that we knew, Oleg worked with him at Rand McNally, kind of a tech savvy guy. He was in our fantasy football league. He was one of the first bloggers that I knew. He had something, his name was Kevin. He had something called Not a Blog. It was more of a general interest blog, but then he let Oleg write something as and it was like the early iteration of like a Cubs blog. And as soon as Oleg wrote something, it was right after Sandberg had gotten rejected for the Hall of Fame the first time, 2003. So I'm like hijacked Oleg's blog and wrote this like thing that I would not even take credit for because it's kind of really probably doesn't hold up because it doesn't use a lot of like modern metrics, OBP and stuff, which would not work in Sandberg behavior. That is why it was around the same time that Bill James had written that like new historical abstract, and he fucking put Joe Morgan #1 ahead of Rogers Hornsby. Like it was like he was in love with Joe Morgan. It was like anybody that would argue against Joe Morgan was just a ignorant like Neanderthal or troglodyte, or they're not using the right metrics. Bill James is right. Joe Morgan, I feel like that really gave Joe Morgan a head start in that area. I'm looking at it now. I'm thinking Ryne Sandberg was so goddamn good defensively, almost inarguably the greatest defensive second baseman. And I know that second baseman, in some sense, it's a little bit of a failed shortstop, but it's not like a left fielder. There's a unique skill set at second baseman. It's still one of the top 4 or 5 positions on the field, even with the battery. And I just feel like the difference, like the gulf in achievements on defense that Sandberg had over everybody, including Joe Morgan, dwarfs whatever offensive advantage Joe Morgan may have had. And bear in mind, too, Joe Morgan played with so many Hall of Famers that could not have but helped his offensive production. And yeah, he was probably a fine defensive second baseman, but nowhere near the league. When Sandberg did stuff that was just defensively revolutionary. And then when you think about, he didn't play as long as Morgan, but even in counting stats like home runs, he had more than him. Yeah, he didn't have the OBP. I mean, he wasn't a selfish player. He always took the first pitch. He batted second. And he had his role. He didn't quite have that skill set, but he had a little bit more slugging. Offensively, he wasn't that far behind Morgan. And defensively, leagues ahead of him. And so I'm feeling like now I'm like as confident now in stating that he was a better all-around second baseman than Morgan. Although 20 years ago, most sabermetricians would have just completely laughed me out of the room. I'm starting to think you can make that case, not have to apologize for it.
I mean,
because he was so fucking good.
Joe's defense was helped by the fact that he played so much of his career on turf, where he always got like the.
Does that help?
Yes, and then Ryne not only we think of Wrigley Field now, and it's a great playing surface. It was not always that great back in the day. I mean, it was a weird field, and the left fielder used to be like lower than everybody else because of the way it sloped away. It had all kinds of weird intricacies of it, and he handled it. But he was the biggest ridiculous thing about Joe Morgan is that when Joe was an announcer, he railed against the things he was good at. Like he didn't see any value in walking. He didn't understand why you should walk. And that was a huge part of his value was that he was willing. He led the league in walks 4 times in his career and was always among the leaders. He didn't seem to think on-base percentage was that great. He led the league in on-base percentage 4 out of 5 years and was well over 400 for 6 years in a row at second base. And he's over there going, oh, you need to slug and you need to do whatever. And then you get the weird shit with the, Banks Boulevard. They only put the basket in to catch earning home runs. And that Ryne Sandberg won't dive. And it's just all that shit.
Which I was very pleased to see when Rhino passed away, how many people I heard Bruce Miles, we've talked about it, would hone in on that and say, well, look at the numbers. How do you get 500 assists 6 seasons that nobody's done except for Charlie Gehringer if you're just not getting to fucking everything? And then I think it comes back to the fact that that's really an ignorant take that to think that making spectacular highlight reel plays is a mark of a great player, where not to say this is always the case, but oftentimes that could just be a guy that was out of position that was very athletic and made a play. I feel like Junior Griffey was a great center fielder. Jim Edmonds was a great center fielder, but in my book, neither of them could hold a candle to Andrew Jones. And I feel it's an offense when people say, well, I'm going to pay homage to this great center field. Torrey Hunter's another one. Great center fielders, sure. I don't know. I'm sure Andrew Jones died, just like Sandberg dove too. That's beside the point. There were times he would, and he'd make those leaping catches over center too. But Andrew Jones just had that ability to like be in where the ball was landing. He didn't have to make a circus catch and run breathlessly to catch the ball. And I feel it's very similar to Sandberg. Like he had a little bit of just an innate IQ. He knew how to play the fielders. He knew how to anticipate it, and he was quick, and he knew how to just stay in position.
Well, the other thing is,
the numbers back that up.
The Cubs put together a nice highlight reel for Ryne before his statue unveiling last year, and he's diving all over the fucking place in that video. I mean,
right? They made it a point to show.
Yeah,
I noticed that already.
Did.
I was there last Friday. They showed him going over second base, and they showed a couple of leaping catches of balls, which is to his credit. You don't see that a lot, 100%.
But yeah, and I wrote about the thing and I'm sure every great franchise, you've got a guy like this. But one of the things I remember was, and Harry did a lot, would have been in the, in any kind of tense moment when the Cubs were on defense. If a ball was hit anywhere near Ryne, Harry wouldn't call it. He would just go, "Don't worry," because it was handled. The guy was going to be out. Yeah. And Ryne's kind of awkward personality. Like, he's shy. It's very clear. He's just a shy person, and you don't have to be
painfully dull.
Yes, you don't have to be outgoing or whatever. But he didn't need to be outgoing because he had Harry. Harry called almost every one of his games.
I like when you phrased that somewhere, that Harry was his personal PR guy.
Yeah, Harry was his hype man. Like, Ryne could just play and not worry about it and it was a good thing because he was as dull as dirt. But it's also one of the things I think that made him such a good player was that kind of even keel. He only played in the playoffs twice for the Cubs, and he was really good both times.
Yeah, And you made another point too. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, when I was trying to come up with, the Wrigleyville Nation guys asked me to send in the thing about my favorite Ryne Sandberg memory, and I have this long rambling one about almost being at the Sandberg game. But it's funny. There's a reason I think that so many people's number one memory of him is the Sandberg game. And it's two-part. Number one, it is one of the greatest baseball games ever played. It's just ridiculous what he did. And it was on national TV. And there was so many things colliding at the same time. The suddenly resurgent Cubs in the middle of a great season on national TV, an unbelievable come from behind win, blah, 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 blah. But the reason that is the one that comes to mind is that Ryne Sandberg's entire career was not about one big moment in a season or something. It was the fact that he was a great player who was great every day. He showed up every day, and you had world-class defense and world-class base running, and he was a very good hitter, even though he struggled with breaking balls. He's hit enough fastballs that didn't matter. He was just always going to be really good. And so the stamp he put on the game it's kind of ironic that he does have this one famous game with his name on it, even though we all know that it should have been named after the guy that the Cubs reacquired Manny Trio for when they traded him to the Giants with Dave Owen. That's who they traded to the Giants for Manny Trio.
It's an oversight.
Was that his career was it was just this big total thing. It was just Ryne Sandberg being Ryne Sandberg every day. And
I get what you're saying. It's ironic that the game stands out so much because nobody was more consistent consistently great. You mentioned something else too about how second baseman, and this comes back to how you can't just diminish second baseman as saying they're failed shortstop. Yeah, Sandberg might not have had the arm to really play short. He did fine at third base, I think, a shorter throw across the diamond. But second baseman, unlike left fielders who truly are the world's tallest midgets of outfielders, there is a sort of a specific skill set that shortstops don't necessarily have. And you mentioned something about how second baseman, you mentioned something about how you're going away from first base to field a lot of balls. And when I thought about that earlier today, I was thinking that is more common for second baseman because shortstops going to the hole, obviously when they do it, it's an exciting play. It's one of the more exciting infield plays, the shortstop making a throw from deep short. But a third baseman can and often should cut that off and render them a shortstop not having to make that play. Second baseman doesn't have anybody. They have to make that play. Otherwise it's a base hit. So, and I just feel like second base, and maybe I'm full of shit, but that second baseman generally have more chances at making plays going away from first base than shortstops do. And then conversely, a shortstop's easiest play is a play to their left towards the base over the middle. And second basemen don't get as many of those chances because a first baseman can often cut those off too. So I feel a lot more of their chances are going away from the play. And then you're getting into double plays. A shortstop has an easier relay on a double play. They're coming across the bag. Their momentum's going towards first. A second baseman is still having to go. They're still away from the bag. Their back is to the first baseman and they're making the play. So it flushes out in the numbers when you look at his assists and putouts and double play totals that we're talking about ranking our positions. We made a joke about it. We knew who would be number one. He is arguably the greatest second baseman in Major League Baseball history.
When you were talking about the record, you think there was a Manny Trio record that he broke. I think there was. I think separate from the consecutive errorless game, I think Ryne had an even longer error streak, maybe not even over the same time, of games without a throwing error, and that may have been the longest streak that they had.
That's what it was.
And it's pretty incredible for both of those guys, but especially for Sandberg because it went even longer, considering the era that he played in and how many times taking the trying to turn the double play at second with a dude whose entire thing was completely legal for him to knock your ass into left field.
Oh, that's true too. Jesus Christ.
And not only did you can't even remember, I mean, obviously he did because everybody does. You can't remember him throwing it away on that. He hardly ever got hit. He somehow managed, he would do that little like one-legged jump.
The hop.
And he would disappear. And he wasn't there for the guy to hit. Like Matt Holliday made a career out of knocking Starlin Castro into the ivy every time Starlin tried to, as a shortstop, to turn it. And there was Ryne with his back to those big behemoths who were doing it with even more recklessly. And he just don't ever remember him getting hit.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
And then I guess now you reminded me the last thing about like what could be a harder skill for second baseman is starting a double play. You know, if you're starting a 6-4-3, you know, a shortstop is already kind of going in the direction they're throwing. Second baseman's having to backhand it, a throw and shuttle. So again, there's a unique skill set. Yeah, they're not, if you're truly that all around great, you're going to be a shortstop. Shortstop is the captain of the infield. That's your best infielder, everything else being equal. But that at the same time, it can also be true that there is a very unique skill set that second basemen have. And I don't think anyone, demonstrated it better than Sandberg.
So I wrote a little bit about his first retirement, and it was the first time I'd given a lot of thought to like all the things that likely went into the decision to walk away during a season. And there's the one most famous one that involved his wife and
I feel that's pretty much the source of truth. When you hear players talk about it, they just say that, well, I heard one of his former teammates say he was getting divorced. He had and they were saying it in an honorable way, like he couldn't focus on baseball, but they're basically saying.
I think that's true, but I also think that when you look back at the other things that were going on that year, you could see how all that shit would pile up and you're like, fuck it, I'm just going to deal with this instead. That was, so the season before was the one in spring training when Mike Jackson hits him and he breaks his wrist. And a guy who had slugged 497, 559, 485, and 510 in the 4 years before slugs 412, only hits 9 homers. And we know that from Derek Lee breaking his wrist. Your next year, your wrist isn't really healed. It's healed enough to play, but it's not really doing what you need it to do. He gets off to a terrible start in 94 on this dog shit Cub team, and there's a lockout coming. Like they know it's coming. Yeah. That season is not going to, if it does finish, there's going to be a long break in the middle of it. And I just kind of felt like all that piled up, and he's like, "Okay, I'm done. I'm walking
but like
away."
He walked away from the money. He could have just been like, "Fuck it." I mean, part of that too was like, well, if I keep playing, she's getting half. So
I also wondered about that. Like, okay, we can cut off the income right now. Then I can figure this out, and then I can come back.
I will say this, not to just get into like the guy, but it is funny how when I was listening to all of his teammates, and they loved him, and he was just like a real dude, even if he was dull as shit, but he was no phony. So like, just people like respected him, and he was so great. And everyone just talks about how, oh man, then after like, he came back and he met Margaret, he just came alive. They almost talk about two different Sandbergs. That like they loved him as a teammate early on, but you get the impression that he was probably just like wrapped up in his own thing. He just like, they didn't really know him, and they did. They were his teammates. I mean, there's a bond there, but like they talked about him as a person became a lot more likable, after his second retirement and everything else. And
so I guess I'd remembered it wrong. In my mind, I always remembered that 94 Jose Vizcaíno took over for him, but Jose played shortstop.
I don't remember that.
It had to be Rey.
You don't remember that Rey Sanchez had a much longer tenure, I think, than he actually did.
Well, in my mind, Rey was playing shortstop and Jose was, but it's the opposite.
Okay, they were kind of interchangeable.
Because I just looked up Jose, and he played shortstop all year. He didn't.
In 94.
In 94.
And Rey went to second. Jose Hernandez made his debut in 94, and then Yeah, that was kind of what it was, 94, 95, 96. Is still those guys?
So
who else is getting some
Rhino
leaves
against after a game with the Dodgers in early June.
96 he came back.
And so Sanchez took over as the primary second baseman on all games here.
Yeah, and Rey was in his fourth year, so he'd already been around a while.
And Rey got off to quite a start when they handed him the reins at second base. Let's see.
Well, and Vizcaíno was traded by 94, though. I think he was traded for Anthony Young.
Oh, so he was gone.
By 94. So it's just Rey at second, Jose Hernandez at short, or something like that. And like, what do you have for 95 and 96? Well, 96 Sandberg came back, so it's just 94, 95. Sanchez mostly then.
Yeah, the second baseman 95 is Rey. Let's see. He played.
And then 90.
Rey played 111 games. Jose played 29. Which Haney is this? Played 17. Todd Haney. Is this Ho-Ho? Played 8 games at second base. Howard Johnson and Matt Franco got to play 3 games at second base.
Okay.
For those those spunky 95 Cubs who rekindled Ryan's love for baseball, and he came back.
That's right. Brought him out of retirement.
Let's see. So what was Rey? How'd Rey do in his 1 year as the primary second baseman? 278, 301, 360. About what you think. He's well below league average. Bat, pretty decent glove.
But about what you'd expect for Rey Sanchez.
So when Ryan came back in 96, there was this the Cubs really didn't want him to come back. They were kind of forced to take him because he's a franchise legend, and he's like, "Hey guys, I'd like to come back." And
it's a new regime, yeah.
And Craig Biggio was a free agent, and the Cubs wanted him, and the Biggio was very interested. And then all of a sudden, second base is full, so you can go back to Houston. And 96 Sandberg was pretty good, especially for a guy
power.
who had a year off.
His batting average was low. Yep.
Yeah, he only had 244, 360, but he slugged 444. He was a league average bat. He was still a very good second baseman. He didn't lose that. But by 97, and maybe this was partly having the will to live sucked out of you by starting the season 0-14.
14 games. I believe also during that 14-game losing streak, he was in the dugout. I mentioned this when we talked about the 97 Cubs. He was sitting in the dugout innocently when a line drive foul came and hit him in the head. Something like that. Like, it was just like, he must regret coming out of retirement.
He was, I want to look this up. He was a notoriously slow starter.
That's right.
So here's his batting average by month. April, 230. May, 298. June, 300. July, 277. August, 298. And September, 291. So if you could survive April with Ryan, you were in pretty good shape.
Yeah, it was like a trend every year.
A very Derek Lee trend. So they had that in common. They had the wrist, and then they had the no hits in April.
We'll get to Derek next episode. He'll be up there, probably. Sure he will.
So Ryan's retired for good, and the Cubs have to go out and they have to find
good player.
Have to find a new second baseman. And they have a new announcer. Man. They have the great Chip Carey to call Mickey Morandini.
That's another interesting thing, by the way, is that just like with Harry Carey's first and last game with the Cubs was the same as Ryne Sandberg's. First game was the Mario Soto game in Riverfront '82, and last game, unbeknownst to everybody in '97, that Harry would, just like when Mike Singletary made his last game in '92, nobody knew at the time that it was also Ditka's last game. But yeah.
So on December 23rd, 1997, the Cubs make a trade. They trade Doug Glanville to the Phillies for the dandy little glove man, Mickey Morandini.
And I was pissed because then the Tampa Bay Devil Rays picked up Miguel Cairo in the expansion draft. I was like, we could have just put and they got off to like a 300 start after 2 months. But no, Morandini was fun. He was a good player for the Cubs, right? Especially in 98.
98. He was a little rough in 99, but the whole team was. 98, he had 296 with a 380 on base, only a 385 slug. He didn't slug at all. 8 homers, 20 doubles, 53 RBIs. He was
shout out to our buddy
WAR.
Jeff Thomas.
He was
Tonker's a huge.
He had been a dependable but unspectacular player for the Phillies. 267, 334, 360 in 9 years with them, but he had 272, 354 for the Cubs. He was this like kind of, I don't know. He had the
left-handed slap hitter.
Well, he had the creepy little mustache and the stringy long hair.
Yeah, he was a little. And
he was somehow it was very endearing.
Yeah. No, I liked him. But like I mentioned, Jeff Thomas, our buddy, that's one of his favorite players from back then. He's a likable player. Just 2 years though.
Let's see. Well, I gotta look at Mickey's comps. Should we do Ryne Sandberg's comps? Those should be good.
Yeah.
Let's see. Does he have any Hall of Famers? His comps probably all.
I'd be sad.
Well, he should. He's got a lot of Hall of Very Goods. It's interesting. Lou Whitaker is his number one comp. Lou should be in the Hall of Fame. Joe Torre, Ian Kinsler, Miguel Tejada, Barry Larkin, Chase Utley, Alan Trammell, Ray Durham, Michael Young, and Ken Boyer. Oh, that's so great. Harry, who hated Ken Boyer, hated him to death, and Ryne, who he loved, were compared. If you go by age, he's got guys like Frankie Frisch and Paul Molitor on his list. Oh, I didn't do Rey Sanchez. Rey Sanchez comps. These ought to be good. Buck Weaver, Ted Sizemore, Walt Weiss, Rafael Ramirez, the old Brave shortstop.
First mention. That's right. TBS star.
And then Mickey Morandini comps. Jerry Lumpy's on here. Harold Reynolds, Ron Oster, Jody Reed, Fernando Vina, Buck Weaver, and Craig Counsell.
Ron Oster makes me just make one final point on the Sandberg era. Sandberg was the cream of the crop, but it felt like there were like but none of these guys, they've all been lost in the sands of time. Somebody pointed out that at one point, like Steve Sachs and Johnny Ray were like the preeminent second baseman when Sandberg kind of took it from them. But I feel like there was a time when a lot of teams had decent second basemen. It was just maybe a low bar. Ron Oster of the Reds was one. Bill Doran of the Astros was another one. That's all. And then Steve Sachs, of course, was the sort of golden child before Sandberg, but then he had the yips. And even as early as 83, before Sandberg was, I remember going to the ballpark with my brother and some of his buddies, and it was went to a Dodgers game. It was like, eat your heart out, Steve Sachs. And we were already, I will say to our credit, we were already kind of on the Ryne Sandberg bandwagon even before Jim Fry told him to start hitting home runs.
Yes, because he never would have thought of it if it hadn't been for Jim Fry. One of the things I remember about the Sachs-Sandberg thing was getting close to the end of All-Star voting. Sachs had a big lead.
In 84.
Yeah. And all of a sudden, like a late vote came in and Ryne Sandberg was starting at second base. So even as a kid, I remember thinking, I wonder if that's rigged.
Oh, sure. Well, I was just thinking, fuck the Dodgers, fuck Steve Sachs. But like, Steve Sachs's yips were reaching their peak at the previous year's All-Star game, which you will recall occurred in Chicago, Comiskey Park. I don't know. Maybe I'm imagining this. He may have had a throwing error in the All-Star game too. But he went through a period where he could not throw the ball to first. He was obviously nowhere near. I mean, it's funny to think of it now that we actually had to fight the narrative that Steve Sachs was better than Ryne Sandberg.
So Mickey's gone after 99, and the Cubs have a new manager, Groove, Don Baylor, and Don's going to bring as many old Rockies as he possibly can with him. And he actually brought a pretty good player, Eric Young.
He did.
Came in to play second base and lead off.
I've done it before. I've summarized this. Eric Young, 2 years with the Cubs. He was excellent in 2000, and the Cubs sucked. And then he struggled in 2001 when the Cubs could have used him. And then the other thing is that I don't know how many times he would get on base, and Baylor would have Ricky Gutierrez in the first inning bunt him over.
Well, all the time. Love that.
Those are my Eric Young memories. But yeah, good player. Good player overall for the 2 years. He was fine, but he was really good in 2000. He was a real spark plug, but too bad the rest of the team sucked.
In 2000, he stole 54 bases for the Cubs. Had 180 hits, 297, 367, 399. In 2001, he hit 279 with only a 333 on base. He stole 31 bases, but he got caught 14 times. He would go on. He played 5 more seasons after he left the Cubs for the Brewers and the Giants and the Rangers and the Padres and back to the Rangers again.
Not good for EY.
Let's see. His comps: Chuck Knobloch, Mark Loretta, Delano DeShields, Steve Sachs, DJ LeMahieu, Davey Lopes, Jose Offerman. There was a funny thing in the when Justin Turner hit the walk-off on Sunday, became the oldest Cub ever, and to have a pinch hit walk-off home run. Davey Lopes had been the oldest before, and Marquis dug up the footage, and it's a walk-off homer, and Davey runs around the bases, and the only guy to greet him is whoever scored in front of him. They just do a little high five, and they kind of walk into the dugout. And Boog
the game was over.
Yeah, and that's the game. And Boog is like, show some excitement, guys. I mean, come on, you just won a game. It's a walk-off home run. And it reminded me of something Dave Brown said in our last podcast, which was, no, Davey Lopes was an asshole.
Wow, really?
That's what Cubs are probably like, oh, okay. All right, we won.
Interesting.
But like Deshae said, guys didn't go nuts like they do now.
Not
they
like
didn't
today.
Come running.
Sometimes they would,
unless it was like a huge moment, like a playoff thing, or you clinch the play. No, people didn't pour out of the dugout the way they do now.
A pressure.
But it was really funny game. It was really funny to see it because it looked. It did. You watched it like, wait a minute, is this a walk off?
Right. Right. Okay, game's over. The car's running. Let's go.
Well, the problem was Dennis Eckersley hadn't named it yet. Nobody knew what it was. Because Eckersley is the one. He named the walk-off home run. He said, you throw the pitch, they hit the home run, you walk off the field. That was what Eckersley.
It's one of those things that's always existed. It just didn't have a term until the last 25 years.
2002, primary second base.
Mark Bellhorn?
Mark Bellhorn. What a good year, right?
Yeah, had a nice year, right?
258, 374, 512. That's a 133 OPS plus. 27 homers, 56 RBI.
Wow. Wait, is that a 900 OPS straight up?
886. Pretty close.
Jesus.
And it's funny because in 03, he was unplayable.
Dusty didn't like. He was.
No, he couldn't. He was not producing.
Yeah,
209.
That's on. He was the opening day third baseman, I think, in 03 because Grudzalana came in. He just didn't produce, but he was also like a early Moneyball player. I feel because you just said it right there. The batting average sucked, but he had a lot of leadoff homers. I believe he was the first Cub to homer from both sides of the plate from the leadoff position or something. I mean, it's an interesting player. Cubs got a lot of value on him. And then he ended up winning World Series with Boston 2 years later.
Yeah, he played parts of 10 years, and he really had two good seasons. 2002 for the Cubs, and then 2004 for the Red Sox when he 264, 373, 444. He struck out 177 times that year and led the American League. But he went nuts in the playoffs for them, right?
Did he?
Well, in the World Series he did. 300, 563, 700 in the playoff in the World Series against the Cardinals.
For him.
Good for Mark Bell.
Yeah, I was fine with Bell. He was a fine.
Cubs kind of blunder their way into a starting second baseman because they had to find somebody that would take Todd Hundley off their hands.
Yeah. Please correct this sin that is the ill-advised Todd Hundley sign that Andy McPhail left for Jim Henry to clean up.
And the match was a washed-up former Expos shortstop who had been turned into a second baseman by the Padres, and then or by the Dodgers, and a first baseman. They got Eric Karros too, and Grudzalonic, who had not been good the 2 years before, 01 and 02 for the Dodgers, was surprisingly frisky for the 2003 Cubs. He was 314, 366, 416, 3 homers, 38 RBIs. So he hadn't sniffed a league average line for 3 years before he came to the Cubs.
An integral part, though, of a team that came within a wisp of the World Series.
This is nuts. So if you look at he was an all-star once in 96 for the Expos. In 2003 with the Cubs, his 2.3 WAR got him. He was 27th in MVP voting. But the thing that jumps out is in 2006, he won a Gold Glove for the Royals. Where the hell did that come from? That's the Gold Glove thing. We have to. I guess we just have to take
objective.
Gold Gloves mostly suck. Yeah, it's not
for sure. Political. Also, Mark Grudzalonic was the first major league hitter that Kerry Woodman faced on Easter Sunday in 1998, and he struck him out. He's a member of the Expos.
So 03, he was basically the everyday second baseman. In 04, the Cubs had acquired
reinforced the position.
Todd Walker to create a platoon, and then Grudzalonic got hurt, and Todd ended up playing a lot more second base than the Cubs really wanted him to.
And then the next year, Todd got hurt when Carlos Lee ran him over in a double play. Was Grudzalonic still on the team in 05? Because we're paving the way for either the Gremlin or
no, it's got to be Neffy.
Remember now?
No, he was a Cardinal in 2005. Actually, had a good year for the Cardinals.
Damn it! Neffy saved the season as a second baseman, not a shortstop. No, both.
Both. Oh, Neffy saved it. Neffy saved it everywhere. Can't wait. We're about to get to Neffy.
Nomar, Nomar got hurt 04, but Neffy didn't join the team till late 04. But 05, he plugged in for Todd Walker.
Can you believe that the Giants just released Neffy? Just let him go. He was free for anyone to take, and the Cubs grabbed him as Neffy insurance, and he was very good for them at the end of 04, and then he was incredible for them for the first month of 05.
Yep. Hence
but Todd Walker was the primary second base, played the most games at second base in both 04 and 05. He was a really good hitter who couldn't play second base to save his ass.
Correct. I remember him being like the first player I ever heard of that was actually drafted as a second baseman and not a shortstop.
And that
like,
they made a big deal out of that. Or it's not so much to be drafted by second, but to be drafted. He was like a first round second base draft.
First round draft. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, he was the 8th overall pick in the 1994 draft. And that was the weird one. Like, geez, you guys took a second baseman in the first round.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you're right. He was a good offensive player, but really limited defensively.
But who did they have to pick after him? So the Twins took him with the 8th pick, and after him, the guys who went before all turned out to be stars.
94.
First overall pick, Paul Wilson from the Mets.
Ooh, Kyle Farnsworth.
They gave him a nice little hug one time. Former Cub Ben Grieve was the second pick. Dustin Hermanson.
Rookie of the year.
Do you remember Brewers third baseman Antoine Williamson? How about Marlins shortstop and LSU quarterback Josh Booty?
Yes, I believe I've mentioned that I saw him go wear the golden sombrero, Kane County once.
Angels, the Angels with the 6th pick took outfielder McKay Christensen. The Rockies took Doug Million, a left-handed pitcher, gave him $1 million, and he never pitched in the big leagues. So the Twins took Todd Walker. Reds took C.J. Nitkowski. The Indians took Jarrett Wright. The 12th pick of the first round, Nomar Garcia.
Wow.
11 teams didn't. Paul Konerko went 13th. Jason Varitek went 14th.
Dodgers.
So in a way, players. Todd was drafted both too high and too low. All the good players, all the good players went after him. But he was the best of the first 8 picks. Who did our beloved Cubs take? Did they have a pick? Or
Kenny Steenstra, was it 94? Or was that Brooks Kieschnick? Steenstra, or was that his name?
Looks like they didn't have Oh no, they did. 15th, they took Jay Peterson, a right-handed pitcher out of Denver East High School. Way to go!
Yeah, whatever. Larry Himes is on his way out. Didn't matter.
But I was going to say Walker in his 2 years with the Cubs. I guess he played another part of the season, but 286, 353, 447. He had 800 OPS. But yeah, you couldn't feel the ground ball. And Carlos Zambrano almost killed him during a game.
Yeah, he used to show him up. Yeah,
for a pop up.
Carlos was at the game. Carlos was at the game last Friday that I was at. It was kind of fun. They showed him on the jumbotron. He was sitting next to Ben Zobrist. And I was like, you guys weren't teammates. How do you guys know each other?
Pals. Cub alumni.
Love Carlos. And even though that's not cool to show up your teammates, I forgive Carlos of many.
That was in Houston, I think. I think where it happened.
He fucking barking at him.
The 2006 Cubs second base position was just a shit show. Here were the guys who played it. Neffy played 53 games. That was the most. So Neffy was their primary second baseman in a way.
Yeah.
Todd Walker, 46. Ryan Theriot played 39 games. Jerry Hairston played 24. Tony Womack, 16. He was still around. They're back. Freddie Boom Boom Bynum played 15 games. And
Ronnie
Cedeno played 15. Ronnie,
oh my God.
Somehow Ronnie in 15 games, he packed minus 1.7 WAR into 15 games.
I believe it.
He was really something.
And yes, Tony Womack must have come back because it was 03 when he got hurt. Okay. Wow. That's a whole veritable.
So Neffy, one of my all-time favorites, he signs for the final month of the 2004 season because Nomar is having Achilles problems. I forget what he is.
Yeah, who knows?
Neffy in those 23 games hit 371, 400, 548 to the point where Nomar played third. He played some third base and Neffy was playing short.
Yeah, I remember that.
Also,
now.
And I found this in the game that the season basically ended. This was when Kyle Tucker bunted in the first inning the other day. The flashback I had was the 12th inning of the game that knocked the Cubs out for good in 2004, with a runner at second and one out. Nomar comes up and sacrificed. It was Jose Macias. Bunted Macias to third. Moises walked and Aramis popped out and the Cubs lost. It's like, Nomar, there's one out. You want 2 cracks at driving this run in, not one.
Incredible. That's ridiculous. Then you reminded me of the time that Neffy ended the game on a bunt out.
Yes.
When there was a runner on third or something.
Yeah. Oh, there was all kinds of fun stuff going on in the dusty years. I want to give Neffy his full. I know it's 2005 and 06 was the year, but he was playing some second base in 05. We need to bask in his. Well, in 05 he was filling in for Nomar because Nomar left his groin in the batter's box at Busch Stadium.
April.
This was Neffy's April for the 2005 Cup. In 21 games, 68 at bats. Neffy Perez, 368, 403, 559. That's a 962 OPS, 3 homers, 12 RBIs. He was trying to keep him alive all by himself. He cooled off a little bit, 259, 283, 370 in May. But when the Cubs really needed him in August of 2005, when they were making the charge, they were out of it. 347, 388, 480. He came alive in August.
Wow. Okay. Maybe he did save the season. Maybe we're being a little unfair to Dusty.
We are. He was still there in 06. 254, 266, 343. Of course he was. 06 is when did they trade him to the Tigers? And then he tested positive for amphetamines and got suspended for the rest of the season.
Oh my God, I forgot about that.
Yes, he got traded to the Tigers for Chris Robinson on August 20th, 2006. Lead singer of the Black Crowes. Yep. From Champaign. No, he's from London, Ontario, Canada, but he went to U of I. So Jim Hendricks is looking for a local boy to bring home.
Right.
So the Neffy thing is not going to work. 2007, and the Cubs bring in
playoff team.
Cubs bring
Mark
in
DeRosa.
D-Row. Mark DeRosa, who had resuscitated his career under the great Rudy Jaramillo the year before in Texas, where he had 296, 357, 456 for the Rangers, signed a 3-year deal with the Cubs. Maybe only played 2 of them. He was a nice player. D-Row was a good player for the Cubs.
2 outstanding regular seasons followed up by 2 tub shittings in the playoffs. And so he just goes, in my book, he goes into the Hall of Fame of overrated white guys that find a camera like a moth finds a light and gets by. And he's fine. He's a good analyst. He was a really good player. But I'm just so bitterly disappointed at how in 07 against Livan Hernandez,
he gave the Cubs their only lead in the 08 playoffs.
I know, but then he also butchered a fucking ground ball. I know every infielder
joined the club. They all
that
did
game.
It.
But like 07, I was mad because, they were going to get swept. It was game 3. Livan Hernandez's old balls keeping them frustrated. But he comes up with first and third or bases loaded at 3-1 count. And then the Wrigley dipshits all stand up, get behind him. And then he proceeds to chase a ball 4. I think it was bases loaded. And he grounded a double play. I'm like, you motherfucker. And Ryne Sandberg wouldn't have done that.
So he, in 2003, in the playoff series against the Cubs, he hit 429 with 714 slug. In the Arizona series for the Cubs, he hit 333 with a 500 on base.
I don't care.
In the Dodgers series, he hit 333 with a 750 slug. He's the only Cub who hit.
I don't care. I know I'm being totally irrational. I don't care because of my episodic moments here. The 2 moments. It's the double play.
The reality
game
of it, though,
3 when the series was already lost.
His value was not in him playing second base. His value is that he could play everywhere.
He was a Zobrist type player. You're right. And then trading him, even though I was happy about it because it was a huge mistake because of what they got for him. And it just
didn't replace him.
Franchise.
They replaced that was the thing. It was one thing to be
replace his bat,
so
not his position.
They got Milton Bradley, and then they signed Aaron Miles to replace him. That was the guy that was going to.
Was Aaron Miles supposed to be the everyday second baseman?
Well, he was going to be the DeRosa. He was going to play all. He was going to play all over the infield, and he couldn't because he sucked. Mark DeRosa's comps include World Series hero, allegedly, David Freese, World Series or ALCS hero, Aaron Boone, Mike Pagliarulo, Jeff Blum.
Interesting. Well, Jeff Blum, kind of a World Series hero, supposedly.
I guess. I didn't see that one either. I don't know about Freese, and I don't know about Blum. 2009, primary second baseman is the other half of the Cajun connection. It's little Mikey Fontenot.
Yeah.
He was worth
who I actually liked.
1 WAR.
I couldn't stand Terrio. I didn't mind Fontenot.
Guys who played second base that year in 09 for the Cubs. Mike Fontenot, Jeff Baker, Andres Blanco, Aaron Miles, Bobby Scales, and for 2 games, I'm sure just an inning at a time, Alfonso Soriano. That was Lou. Lou would put him at second base. You know how to go over there. You know how to play that. Go there.
Our friend Andrew Peck once had the nickname Jeff Baker Loud Outmaker. I remember a play on Stephen Baker, touchdown maker for the Giants. I'll leave it at that. I forgot who the last guy you mentioned there. After Baker, I had
Bobby
another.
Scales. Aaron Miles, Bobby Scales,
yes,
Andres Polanco.
Who Bobby Scales is a very heartwarming story of like this 30-year-old that had never made it to the majors and finally got his chance. He was like substitute teacher in the off season or something. Yeah.
2010, the other half of the Cajun connection got to play
Terrio
most games at second base. Is that because Starlin had come up? That must have been. Where is your...
Yeah,
Starlin's up. So Terrio's kicked over to second base. Yeah. Terrio played 66 games. Blake DeWitt played 48 games at second base.
Don't tell Oleg.
Mike Fondo played 33. Jeff Baker played 26. And Darwin Barney played 10 games there.
Oh, got a Gold Glove coming up.
So from 2011 until 2014, the second baseman was Darwin Barney.
The diminutive. Yeah.
He was an excellent defensive second baseman. He won a Gold Glove, much to Brandon Phillips's dismay. He was very pissed.
I don't remember. Is that right?
Yeah. Darwin finished 7th in Rookie of the Year voting in 2011 and won the Gold Glove in 2012. He never hit for shit.
Nope.
But he was a nice little fielder. He was one of those Oregon State University shortstopps that every team drafts and then has to turn into a second baseman, and then you realize this guy's not really that fucking good.
Didn't know that was a type, but yeah, no.
So let's see Darwin's comps. Maybe we'll be lucky and Nick Madrigal will pop up over. He didn't. Eric Sogard, Donnie Hill, Isaiah Kiner Falefa, or I like to call him Ralph Kiner Alfalfa, and Luis Sojo. Those are Darwin Barney comps.
All right.
Then we get to 2015, where it's really kind of a combo at second base. For most of the season, it was Addison Russell. And then as we got down towards the end of July, Addison went to shortstop and Starlin Castro went to play second base.
And so who would have been the opening day second base? Because it wouldn't have been Russell, right? I'm looking it up. I got you covered.
He was supposed to come up at the same time
that Bryant did.
Bryant was, but Bryant got to come up early because
the opening day second baseman was Tommy LaStella.
Oh, yeah. 3 a.m.
So that's an interesting time now. You're right. Addison Russell, I thought in 2015 as a rookie was in the picture for a Gold Glove for second base. He was outstanding, but then he gets moved to shortstop around this time, late July.
Because Starlin was very much not in the running for Gold Glove.
He was in his own head. Yeah. No, and he wasn't hitting, but it was a genius. Joe Madden was a great manager because he managed to sort of salvage Castro. Castro had sunk so low, at least offensively. His OPS was down to 570. He was just a mess. And Madden makes the move. He moves Russell to short, and Russell was a very good shortstop, of course. We talked about him then. And Castro went to second, got over it, and then produced and ended up finishing his Cubs career on a high note.
So in 107 games in 2015 at shortstop, Starlin had hit 243, 278, 320 with 6 homers and 47 RBIs. He moves to second, he gets a few days off, and then he becomes the second baseman. And I don't think that was a guarantee. They might have given it to Javi if Starlin had continued to be in the tank.
He was back up. Yep.
In 33 games at second base, Starlin Castro hit 339, 358, 583 with 5 homers and 22 RBIs.
Sandberg-esque.
And
offensive production.
I think he was really, he was like the rest of the Cubs, really good against the Cardinals and really bad against the Mets. Well, 286, 333, 500 against the Cardinals and 125, 188 against the Mets. He's one of the Cubs who hit they were the first team ever that 1 through 6 in their lineup, hit a home run in a playoff game.
Hit home runs.
He was one
participated.
of them.
Yeah, so he got to it. The nice thing about Starlin is if you care for him, he got to enjoy he's part of the ascension of the World Series team. He wasn't there when they actually won it, but he's part of that narrative as they started to move upwards.
So I've seen this one before. Starlin Castro, number 1 similar player, Sean Dunston. Also on his list, Gene Segura, Rich Aurelia, DJ LeMahieu, and Carlos Baerga.
All right. A couple of those are first-time mentions. Of course, Rich Aurelia was a shortstop, so was,
In 16 and 17, it gets a little... Well, 16, not really.
Zobrist played a lot. Zobrist Baez thing, right?
Zobrist played 119 games at second in 2016. But by the end of the season, he was the left fielder and Javi was the second baseman. And that's how they did it in the playoffs.
Yeah.
In 2017, Zobrist is listed, but he only played 1 more game at second than Javi. He played 81 at second, Javi played 80.
Yep. And then at the round, while this is going on, Russell is shitting his way out of town, and eventually Baez kind of moves back to short. So who does that leave us at second then?
Well, let's actually talk about Zobrist, because
that's true.
He's a World Series MVP. Cubs only have one ever.
Even though it should have been Chris Bryant.
Yes, it should have. 2016, Ben Zobrist was worth 3.5 WAR. 272, 386, 446, 18 homers, 76 RBIs.
That's solid.
Played second, left, right, first, and short.
Sure.
And that was his. Well, he was pretty good. Excuse me. He was pretty good in 18, but 18 was 18 he was there the whole year. It was 19 when he had his own Ryne Sandberg moment where he had to go leave the team to get divorced.
That's right. Very, very, very.
But he struggled. He struggled in 17, 232, 318, 375. Bounced back, and he was good in 18, 305, 378, 440.
Yeah.
He was a very good player, and he was a unique player. He didn't break into the big leagues till he was 25, and he still had a long career. He played 14 years. But by the time the Cubs got him, he was 35 years old. Like, they're signing a 35-year-old to a real contract.
A 4-year, kept himself in shape.
And it worked.
You knew that was going to. It did work. Absolutely did.
He had been traded from the A's to the Royals, and so he won the World Series in 2015 with the Royals, and then he came to the Cubs and won it again in 16. Does he have any wacky comps? Probably not. Number one, Don Money.
Over the field.
My old buddy Don Money.
Oh, your guy.
Number one.
Your old Beloit Snappers manager.
Melvin Mora.
The guy himself who got pushed off at third base by Mike Schmidt and then Paul Molitor. Is that Don Money? He was a good player that just ended up being a situation.
Had to be
slightly better players.
He had to be a Hall of Famer to steal Don Money's job. Ken Keltner is on his list. Ken Keltner, best remembered for making an incredible play to stop Joe DiMaggio's hitting streak. But Ken Keltner was a really good player.
Supposedly 2 great plays, but yes.
Jason Hayward is on Ben Zobrist's list. Zobrist's list could be anything because he basically played every position. So he could.
Like I said, he was all over the field.
So 2018, your primary second baseman is Javi Baez.
And he was MVP runner-up as a second baseman.
All-star MVP runner-up and Silver Slugger. He would win the Gold Glove at shortstop 2 years later. So Yelich won MVP. Should have been Javi just because Javi's cool and Christian Yelich's a turd. 2018, 34 homers, led the league, 111 RBIs, 290, 326, 554. Second baseman slugging 554. He also playing second because we talked about how in 16, when the games got important, he played second base.
Yes.
He had a great, he had the big home run against the Giants, against what's his name, Johnny Cueto, against the Giants.
Johnny Cueto.
And he was the co-NLCS MVP with John Lester.
Yep.
He stole home in that ridiculous NLCS.
I was at that game.
He also did the thing that every second baseman thinks of, but nobody does, where there was a line drive, hit him with a runner first, and he took a step back and let the ball bounce and turned a double play.
Yep. Yeah.
He literally dominated that NLCS from second base. Like they couldn't hit the ball past him. And the crazy thing to me is, we think of Javi as this great defensive player. He played in one World Series Game 7. He made 2 errors in it.
I know. He did. He made a throwing error, but I think they're both throwing error. I can't remember now, but yeah, he did. It's hard to put into words whether it was third base, shortstop, or second base. Things he would do, like hold his glove back on a thrown ball to tag a player, and have the discipline to not reach out and grab the ball and try to swipe. He had just really preternatural instincts that made him we talked about it before. It made you never thought about the art of tagging a player. And then you also, as a base runner, I know it's not specifically as an infielder, but you never thought about the art of avoiding a tag. He did it on both sides.
He's got the Cub video team put together. There's a 7-minute video of Javi Baez tags. And there's an 8-minute video of Javi Baez base running. And they're both incredible to watch. You're like, we're going to watch 7 minutes of tags. And you watch it and you're like, holy crap. It's, right. And
I feel like
the thing he's best at, you talked about, is you can tell a player till they're blue in the face that the ball will get to you faster than you can go out and grab it and bring it back. But everybody does it except for Javi. Javi just puts his glove. It's the ridiculous hand-eye coordination that he knows he can catch it. He can just leave it there and he's going to catch the ball. And then one of the most iconic things he ever did was in the World Baseball Classic. Yadi Molina throws a base runner out at second base. Javi, before he's even bothered to tag the guy out, is pointing at Yadi to congratulate him for throwing. He's pointing with this hand and he's blind tagging with the other one.
Yeah, so talented. I feel like he didn't play enough at any of these positions to ever be seriously considered for number one. But he should be number 5 on third base, shortstop. He needs to be on all 3 of those infield positions.
So he was an all-star in 2018 at second base. He was an all-star in 2019 in shortstop, and he was an all-star in 2025 at center field. That's pretty good.
Yeah, right. It's all right, yeah, Pete Rose was an all-star 4 positions. Yeah, every corner, and sure, second base. Javi, shortstops. Shortstop and center field, right.
He was all-star 4 positions, couldn't play any of them.
Left field, right field, first, whatever. Shortstop and center field, there's no argument. Those are the 2 most important positions. You can argue over which one is better, but that depends on a lot of factors. What is your pitcher throwing? Center field is the captain of the outfield. Shortstop is the captain of the infield. Outside of the battery, those are the 2 most important positions on the field. And Javi Baez is an all-star both of them.
So. And I don't even know who this guy. I cannot think of who this guy is. Garcia? Oh, Robel. All right. 2019 is another mess at second base. I mean, he's moved to shortstop. Addison Russell ends up with the most starts at second base. This is the year that all hell has broken loose with his personal life, and he comes back and he gets hit in the head.
And he was terrible. Yeah. And Javi himself was very much injured down the stretch too. That's when our guy Nico got called up prematurely, and he did well under the circumstances, but had to play short.
Set his career high for home. It's 2 weeks.
You're right. Robel Garcia was like the Mexican Bobby Scales, though. He was like a lifer, came from Japan, and I had high hopes for Robel.
So in 2019, Addison Russell plays 63 games a second. Excuse me. David Bodie plays 50. Daniel Descalso, who was their one big free agent signing, that was great, 35 games. Ben Zobrist is still around trying to play. It's got 32. Robel plays 18. Tony Kemp plays 14 games. Ian Happ plays 13 games at second base. And Nico Horner plays 1. And he also played some shortstop because Javi was hurt. He played
quite a bit. Yeah.
He played 17 games in short. When he had gone home for the winter from his minor league assignment and got called up off the couch and went to San Diego and hit a home run. Nico takes over as the second baseman in 2020 during the pandemic. He is not really ready, but there's no minor league thing to send him back to, so they just keep playing him. And he wasn't very good. He was good defensively, but he really struggled offensively. 222.
He hit a double. He hit a double off the wall in his first game, and then that was the only ball that he would turn out to barrel up all year, I think.
He played in 48 of the 60 games, 222, 312, 259. He had 4 extra base hits, all doubles. They drove in 13 runs. He's a runner-up for the Gold Glove, even with all of that. 2021. Primary second baseman is, they really don't have one because they play a lot of guys, including this is great. The guy who plays the most games at second base 21 is David Bodie, but there's a long list. He played 61 games. Eric Sogard played 43. Nico, who was the regular shortstop, played 30 games at second base. What's his name? I can't think of his first name. There's the Alcantara.
I can't keep track of my Alcantaras. Arizmendi? No.
Yes, you're right. Arizmendi Alcantara.
As late as 2021?
Yeah.
Okay. Was he not the palate cleanser before Baez in 2014?
No.
Is that the same guy? No, who am I thinking of? Never mind.
2014? That was
when Baez came up. Remember before Baez and Soler?
2014 was Barney, Emilio Bonifacio. Oh my God, you're right. It was. Holy shit. You're right. I apologize.
He was the palate cleanser.
Yeah. And so in 2014, they played Barney, Emilio Bonifacio, Arizmendi, Javi, Louis Valbuena got 21 games at second. Logan Watkins got 16, and Chris Valaika got 12. Ugh. Anyway, 21 is Bodie, Eric Sogard, Nico Horner, Arizmendi Alcantara, Chris Duffy, 21 games. 8 games of Ian Happ, Giambroni, I don't remember his first name, I don't care to look it up. Ildemaro Vargas, 4 games. Robinson Chirinos, the backup catcher, played 2 games at second base.
Was drafted in 2000 by a bunch.
The other Romine, Andrew, not Austin, played 2 games. Tony Wolters played 2 games at second base. Jesus, Ross is like your catcher, you can play anywhere. And the best one is 1 game, I'm sure he played an inning or whatever, Anthony Rizzo. second base.
Yeah, he'd have to swap out his first baseman's glove.
Yeah, but he should have been on here more often because of that. Well, I guess he was. One game in 2018. Oh, there we go. 2017. 10 games at second base. And you're right. Every time was because when he played off the bag that far, they said you're not the first baseman, and only the first baseman could wear the weird glove he got every.
That's right. It also allowed me to put Rizzo at second base on my rotisserie team that year.
2022, another shit show. The guy who played second base more than anybody else, Nick Madrigal.
Nick the Stick?
59 games with a 0.6 WAR. Christopher Morel played 33 games there. He had a 1 WAR. Jonathan VR, remember that? He showed up all fat. He was 29 games. Zach McKinstry, who's now playing third base for the Tigers, played 19 games. Bodie played 18. Andrelton Simmons, remember when he showed up, made a bunch of errors, and they had to cut him?
I can't believe I forgot about Andrelton Simmons as a Cub.
Why can't I think of who's Quiros? I can't think of his first name. Esteban Quiros. How could I forget him? 30-year-old, nothing. Got to play some second base. Ildemaro got 3 more games in at second base. Thankfully, over the last 3 years, sanity has prevailed, and the second baseman has been Nico, who was very good in 2023. 5.5 WAR. Although he's in 2025, as of this, he's already at 4.2, so he's probably going to get past that.
But really good defense. I think we brought it up before when we did shortstop, and we kind of pulled Sandberg in to say that the Dunston-Sandberg shortstop to second was our best double play combo, and arguably one of the better ones in franchise history. But I think what you got going on today might enter the chat with Dansby and Horner. That's one of the best up the middles.
Yeah, I think they're better. As much as I love Sean, he was not as good a defensive player as either Nico or Dansby. So he brings it down. And I think had Addison Russell not turned into a turd, Russell and Baez could have become that because they were really good. They were
and the fact that I know Michael Busch is probably a weak link, but the early returns of Matt Shaw are good, and I'm starting to wonder if the entire infield is one of the best we've seen. But
yeah, I think Bush's limitation at first is simply that he's just not very tall.
Yeah, he's exceeded his expectations.
He catches everything that you get close to him, but he's not. You think of Derek Lee and you think of Anthony Rizzo, and they were great first basemen who were also huge. So he couldn't get the ball. He couldn't throw the ball past him. And then Grace he's probably Bush size, right?
Yeah,
maybe a little taller. He was incredible. I think over time the kind of the shtick from Grace has overshadowed. He was a really good player, and he was legitimately great defensive first baseman, like one of the best of all time.
Dunston, Sandberg, and Grace that's definitely up there for short second first.
And Leo Gomez.
I was going to say Steve Bouchel, but yes, sure.
They could stack that one up against anybody. So then we're up to Nico. So good Lord, this is not going to be easy to do the top 5. One's not too tough. It's clearly.
Obviously Rhino.
So we got number 1, Luis Valbuena. Number 2, Nefi Perez. Number 3, I guess Rhino. What?
Anthony Rizzo. I'm starting with Rhino and then Billy Herman and then Johnny Evers. And I'm wondering, 4, 5, who gets those last spots? I think like Horner could almost be in the mix. Went need a couple of years. Trio had a couple good years. It's not, there's a lot of shit in there. We've just named 3 guys that cover a good amount of time.
Yeah, you can't.
Glenn Beckert might make an argument, I guess.
So they've had 2 MVPs at second ever, Sandberg and Rogers, and you can't give Hornsby. He just didn't play enough. Played one incredible.
Sandberg and who?
Rogers Hornsby.
Right.
One of the greatest seasons in Cub history. But
correct. He didn't play long enough.
Play after that. So So he probably doesn't make the list at all.
No,
I would put him on. I want to put Emil Verban on my list because of the no strikeouts.
Sure. Be a hipster.
And I like the fact that he won that he had a huge role in winning a World Series for the Cardinals. I like that.
Right. Yeah. Up here is George Will and Hillary.
And then Ken Hubbs.
You think that's good?
Ken Hubbs is real high on my list because he couldn't hit.
I feel like Beckert and Horner are in the conversation with Trio for the last 2 spots. I don't think we've overlooked anybody else. Although I had my rule that Baez should be number 5 on all 3 for third, short, and second. So if I just to acknowledge his all-around incredibleness, regardless of position, you put Baez at 5, that only leaves 1 spot. which I feel comes down to Horner, Trio, and Glenn Beckert. I think it's fair. You got your Ross Barnes from the 19th century, but I just think it was too different. I don't think we're missing anybody.
I think Nico. We didn't see Glenn, but I have a feeling Nico is a better player than Glenn Beckert.
Okay.
Because it's not like Glenn, like Nico. What is Nico's weakness? Nico doesn't have any pop. Well, shit. He has a lot more pop than Glenn Beckert did. We had a 318 career, right. 345 career. Actually, they're pretty comparable. 345 slug.
Okay.
So I guess you would look at it and say, all right, well, Glenn did it for 10 years, where Nico has done it for 4.
Right. And Manny Trio only did it for 4 also. And
yeah, Trio makes the list if they don't trade him away. He had 4 great years for the Phillies when he should have been playing for the Cubs. Yes. So that takes him, I think, off the list.
Okay. So Beckert or Nico for the last spot. Well, coin flip. I think the jury's out. We do this again in a few years. If Nico's still excelling, but I'm okay giving it to Ron Santo's old roommate. He was there for a good long. That's a long run for good teams.
I guess the tiebreaker. How the hell did he do this? The tiebreaker for Glenn could be that in 1971 he hit 342. 342.
Yeah.
In 131 games, 530 at bats. Where did that come from? That's the only year. How about this? He only hit 300 once in his career, and he hit 342. It's not like he hit 301.
Right.
How did he not? Who won the batting title in 1971? Now you got to look this up.
71? Those are in between Billy Williams' monster years. I don't know. Pittsburgh won the pennant. Was it Clemente? Yeah, 342 would have been. You'd think it'd be good enough to.
It was the year he finished 11 in MVP. You got
okay. All right. I'm convinced then because I like Nico and I think Nico can work his way up, but Nico hasn't gotten any MVP votes. So
he finished 3rd. It was the year Joe Torre hit 363 and Ralph Garr hit 343.
Roadrunner.
Clemente hit 341. So how about this? So if you got to feel pretty good going into the winter if you're Glenn Beckert. The 2 guys you finished ahead of in the batting title race were Roberto Clemente and Hank Aaron. 341 and 327. Manny Sanguillen hit 319, and he walked once. I'll bet.
Catcher. Wow.
Yeah, that 342 came out of nowhere. All right. Well, congratulations, Roomy. I just call him Roomy because that's what Ron called it.
That's right. We'll make room for Ronnie's roommate. It's remarkable.
So our 5 in order were Sandberg. Who was 2?
I feel Billy Herman should be second.
Yeah, you're right.
Johnny Evers third.
Javi Baez
because
4th.
Of my rule. I put Baez 5th just because he's got.
So you're putting Beckert 4th.
Revisit.
I would.
Just because Baez did.
My list. I'll put Javi higher in second. Javi's run through the 2016 playoffs at second base alone, I think, gets him.
I know,
bumps him ahead of Glenn Beckert.
I just like to put Javi number 5 at 3rd, at short, at 2nd to illustrate his badassery and diversity. So there you have it. Sorry, Ross Barnes. You don't make the cut.
Yeah, Ross. The Cubs came out hot, man.
Yeah, they did.
What an incredible season for the great Ross Barnes.
Even in our lifetime, though, I'd say that we've lamented that we still haven't until Pete Crow. I haven't really had a center fielder. Shortstop's been hit or miss. Second base, we have not much to complain about. Obviously, we have arguably the greatest second baseman ever, but then, we got to watch Javi Baez rally to a near MVP season. We're watching Nico Horner now. He's one of the better National League second basemen.
Look at Ross Barnes. Look at this guy.
Look at that. Look at that fella.
He's a man. He's got movie star good looks.
That is a man about
Ross
town.
Barnes. Look at Ross Barnes' career stats. So Ross played from
that black ink.
1871 to 1881. Ross Barnes has a career slash line of 360, 389, 468. He led the league in everything every year. Good Lord.
Okay. I'm sorry. Glenn Beckert stays.
He only played 1 year for the Cubs, right? 2. And he only healthy for 1.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, he's not going to be on the list, but it's just amazing. I would have known who Ross Barnes was.
Yeah.
How is he not in the Hall of Fame? Look, tomorrow, I'm going to go lay a wreath on Ross Barnes's grave.
Oh, that's right, because Baseball Reference tells us where they're buried or where their ashes
Greenwood Cemetery in Rockford, Illinois. I'm going to go.
Oh, hey, that's not far from you. There you go.
Good old Ross Barnes. All right. Well, that was a tidy 2 hours and 49 minutes of second baseman.
Well, considering the centerpiece, I apologize. The centerpiece was the recently departed Ryne Sandberg. I apologize for nothing.
I wonder how people consume this one. I wonder if, like, when they're like, okay, I'm just going to skip the first hour because they're going to talk about all the old dead guys, and then we'll move ahead. But
I want to hear him talk about Sandberg.
You wouldn't know who Ross Barnes is if you had skipped.
Folks, this is like PBS. It's educational.
It's how the Cubs got
it. It's an education. From Ross Barnes.
They weren't even the Cubs. What were they? The White Stockings.
White Stockings, yeah.
He made $2,500 in 1877. His black ink 60. The average Hall of Famer 27. How is he not? I want Ross Barnes in the Hall of Fame. It's got to happen. That's my new crusade.
Let's call Ed Harding. We get some heft. You can do some more research. I think we've done enough here, but
at least get him in the utility Hall of Fame. Come on, career 360 batting average.
Some respect to those 19th century heroes.
All right. Well, thanks, Mike.
It was fun. Yeah, I appreciate it. Good stuff, Andy.
Many of us have herpes.
Post-game show is brought to you by Christ, I can't find it. The hell with it.
It's fitting. It's got to be done with one of the best games of all time. Just unbelievable. I mean, got to congratulate the Dolan family.
Thank you. Sean, my podcast co-host Andy, you were his favorite player growing up.
Oh, thank you so much.
Awesome.
Andy.